Hello and welcome back to USVN, the Unbalanced Sports Views Network. This is I'm Brian. With me, as always, are Mikey the Greek, who has spelled genius wrong, and G Money. And G
I
Money,
did, didn't I? Is
Don't
Mikey
so
change it.
fitting.
Just
Genius,
leave it. Just
just
leave it.
just absolutely making his point.
Oh my God.
One
Almost like you're mad.
100%. Just just a pure light. Just a pure soul, Mike is.
That's right.
Anyway, we are here again for our Week 4 NFL Roundup, Week 5 picks, and some I don't know, whatever other random sports talk gets in here today. I am filming from an undisclosed location,
On the
deep
run.
within the bunker in Savannah, Georgia. I am deep in hiding as they're finally coming to take me out. So
Been
yeah,
hiding.
so
On the
gentlemen.
run.
I'm gonna
Well,
need you to cut in the Deliverance theme song too while you're at it.
Oh,
yeah, welcome, exactly. Welcome to the bunker. I hope
are you
this.
are you on the south side or are you near River
Yeah,
Street?
I'm on the south. I'm on the south side of the bunker.
South side of the bunker. Gotcha. Okay. I used to live on the south side of that bunker too.
Yeah. Mm.
It is it's quite nice. It's not quite like the north side of the bunker. Or the west side of the bunker, which was probably more like Tybee-ish. But
Tybie's the east side because that's
east
the
side.
Atlantic coast.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's the east side of the bunker.
Because the Atlantic Ocean is on the east. Now,
Still?
as a genius, I know I didn't have to explain that to you.
That's correct.
But yes, the beach community is on the east side.
Correct. You are correct.
Yeah.
You are correct.
The beach community in Georgia, east side.
My,
Well,
my
there's
story.
also a beach community in the north side.
Yeah, on the Savannah River. The beach community on the north side is Hilton Head.
That's right.
Yeah, basically.
You
got to
guys
go over
might
the
have
bridge a little bit.
you might have some stories about Savannah. I only have one, and probably not one I should share with our listeners because it was. And I'm not referring to you falling through the ceiling. I'm referring to the night before, and what all
Yeah.
went down the night before. I'm like, oh, this happens in real life. Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. It was yeah, it's you only get married once. And if you're gonna do it, well, you that's not true. But you hope to
Yeah.
only get married once. And when you do, you think to yourself, what are the list of things I shouldn't do? What I shouldn't do, drink my body weight in alcohol. That's one thing. The night before, fall through my ceiling because I've decided after drinking my weight in alcohol that I really, really, really have to show you a painting that I have in my attic.
Is that why you were up there? I forgot it.
yeah.
Why you...
Hold on, I've been
yeah.
I've been joined by an interloper,
We got a guest appearance.
a guest appearance who has snuck into the car for a moment.
So much for going in the car.
Hold on 1 second. Yes. Oh my gosh, they look wonderful. They look very fancy. Sorry, it's we're very excited. We just got our nails done, so.
Oh, cool. What color are yours?
Mine, I went with a clear coat, but that's just for now. Probably going to do a little half black, half white tomorrow. Sticking with the Halloween theme. I'll probably do some orange. I'll work some orange in a couple of days when the Orioles play the Texans. I mean play Texas.
I love it.
Mhm.
I love it.
I'm not as a father of daughter, I'm not ashamed to admit that I've had my nails painted more than one time and had to wear them, my finger and toenails painted for multiple days, for fear of upsetting a cranky, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now 8-year-old. So, I'm fine. Makes me feel pretty.
I escaped that.
Yeah. Well,
I managed to escape that because I have not yet once had my nails painted by little.
I'm going to be honest with you.
But
Yeah.
I will say this. We will schedule and get our nails done together, and I'll just get I'll just get a manicure with the clear coat.
Sure.
And she'll
Absolutely.
do her thing. you know?
Sure.
So I'm definitely game for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, little I am I've been told multiple times that I'm very bad at pedicures because I have them so rarely that when I get one, I'm always like, yeah, sure, do hot stones, sure, that sounds great. Wax, sure, the paraffin, sure. And so every time and the bill comes, I'm like, why is this $100? Like, what did I get here? I thought this was like $40. It's like, well, you can't say yes to everything.
See,
Ooh,
I
what
just
is
do this while I'm working.
Yeah. Well,
Ooh,
like I said,
that's
you know,
awesome. I need one of those.
I do the I'll do the occasional mani pedi when it's like when I am with my family and that is the thing that's being done by them. And I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Walk through a dead mall? No.
I'm I'm so easy though because I bite my nails, they're short. So
Yeah.
simple. I don't do any clipping, you don't got to clip anything. It's just do the scrub, right, to get the cuticles cleaned up and then the clear coat. I'm done. In and
Yeah.
out. The jiffy. And
I'm a
then
big yeah.
I do like when they do a little scrub on the feet. I don't like clipping of the toenails. I don't need that either. But or this. I don't like this. I don't. That gives me the creep thing when they do the
When they do
sand.
the cheese grater,
Yeah.
oh
Not
man, I love the
well.
cheese
No.
grater.
No. I like that on the bottom of my feet.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like the nail file that they use like under your nails. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
man. No, I'm
Oh,
all for it.
it's
I
because they're
get
so short. It's because mine are so short.
I'm not
They
sure how long we can continue this
I was
conversation,
gonna say,
but
weirdest
I will say,
podcast topic, sports topic we've had yet.
well,
hey,
listen.
I'm all for it. This is
Listen.
good.
Just as a smooth transition, right, from mani pedis,
Yeah.
I personally have been walking and more so floating into week number four.
Jeez.
This is 5.
This is 5 week into week 5 from week 4.
Again, Mikey the Greek genius
And
could not be
listen,
better named this week.
listen. And that
Genius.
is just to let you guys know. And I don't want to keep because we're going to have millions of, and we probably this week have millions of listeners, and we're going to have a multiple of many more because each week this is going to spread like wildfire, right? The code
Because
has
the
been cracked.
thumbnail is going to be me looking like Bohemian Rhapsody. That's why.
We're gonna get
And
picked up by DraftKings and everything, right? Because
And we're gonna get copyright striked
I'm getting calls
because
already.
they're gonna think I'm trying to do Queen.
Mikey the Greek
People
same game parlay. Like this is his lock of the week.
people
Yeah.
are very interested, and I'm getting a lot of inquiries, and just reading the comments below and everything. I'm like, all right, listen, let me just go in this week and kind of explain it again because a lot of people are like coming in late, right? Because the word is just getting around that there is this Mikey the Greek and he's picking winners and blah 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 blah, which is incorrect because I'm not picking winners, but
Right down the middle.
they are right down the middle. But words, how it does. It's like telephone game, so it's out there. So I can't answer everyone's comments and all that. I'll spend all day doing that. So I'll just start with just kind of explaining the process and the strategy. And then we can go into my record and my unbelievable streak right now. And not only that, but we can also talk about the Yahoo picks, which honestly were pretty damn impressive. If you look at
We're gonna we are gonna do
gonna
that.
go
We'll
through
do that
them
at
too.
the end.
But
Right. Yeah.
we don't want to leave millions of people waiting. So why don't we just dive in, talk about the strategy, what happened? Because I want G Money to track and I have it all documented.
Perfect. That's what I was gonna say. Let you go through your strategy and then let's hit week 3 because that's when we started tracking.
Yes.
And just call out the result. All I need to know is whether you won or lost. I have them all documented. Same thing with week 4, and I will keep a tally
Do you
going.
remember do you remember the wins from the losses from the first week?
I don't.
From week 3?
I would have to go look them up, like to remember. Like I know you
Yeah,
put
week 3.
$50 on each thing, and I remember it was the money line on KC, for example, is Chicago to cover, right? Like,
Yeah,
had that down.
if I
Week
recall,
3, you split. Week 3, you went straight down the middle. Everything
Yeah.
split, so you lost $20.
40, I think I was down like $43.
He was down after. Yeah, he was down after, but that's why I want to capture it and I'll enter it now.
Yep. I got it all. Okay, so let's just start with the strategy again. Strategy is look for, and I think tomorrow night will be our first game of the week. Look for any game with a touchdown or more spread. I usually like 7.5 plus because I don't like buying half of points or whatever. So, minimum 7 plus, and then I'm taking the underdog plus the points and the favored money line, and I'm doing equal money on both sides. Now, this is my strategy with the money. I'm not smart enough to figure out if I should change the money or keep it all the same on both sides. So that's something maybe we can discuss as the weeks go on. But currently what I'm doing is just same amount on everything. $50 on the underdog plus points, $50 on the favored money line. Last week there was only 3 games because one of the spreads moved in the middle of the week to 6, and it was the New England. It was the New England game, which I would have probably lost because they got pounced, and I would have picked them. Well, I mean, it didn't matter. I don't pick winners, so they would have been involved in one of them, and I would have lost that half.
Love how you word that, by the way. Like, that's just.
Yeah.
So the point is,
My
I don't care.
strategy is to never pick winners.
I don't care who's in the game. The participants are irrelevant. It's all about the spreads, and it's just even money on both sides. So this week coming up, I think there's 3 or 4 games, but what we could do is just talk about what I've done so far because I started in week 3.
Yeah.
Okay, week 3, just to go back and revisit, was the Colts and the Ravens. That was one game.
Right. You bet the Ravens to win, the Colts to cover.
Yeah, you want me to tell you who won and what I won and lost on each one?
Just give me what you won or what you lost, like what you won or lost. I'm tracking it from a monetary standpoint.
I hear you. So I lost the Ravens $50.
Okay.
I won the Colts, so I won $95. So call it a $45 gain. Bet 50.
$5 gain because you
$5 loss because you bet 100. You bet 100 and you won back 95, so you lost $5.
No, I'm just talking about that one bet. I bet 50.
Right.
Okay.
Bet 50, you got 45. So you got 45. Got it.
Right.
We're good.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So that takes care of the Colts and the Ravens.
Yeah.
Okay. The other game was the Texans and the Jaguars.
Yep. So hold on, time out. Hold on a second. I think let me just interject. I think that the way you're describing this is confusing. So long as you are betting, if you're for now, you're betting the same amount on both things. So let's just call it a total for the game. You bet 100 on the game, you got 95. So you lost $5 on the game.
Correct.
But I do want to track it separate.
Yeah, with the yes.
Because he'll win bigger.
When he says I won 95. It is confusing.
I was just talking about,
so understood. So so just to clarify, you spent 100, you got 95 of it back.
I got you. Yep, exactly. All right. So with the Houston Texans, I bet the same. I bet 50. I won that side of it, so I won the 95 on that side of it.
Okay.
And then I lost the 50 on the Jags.
Yep.
Right.
Got it.
So again, bet 100, got 95 back.
Yep. So then it was the Cowboys and the Cardinals.
Yep.
And won the Cardinals. So I won bet 50, 195 on that end. And 45 cents. I'm not including the 45 cents.
Yeah,
and then I lost the 50 on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Right. So again, spent 100, got 95 back. Okay.
Yeah.
The other game that week, I believe this is that week still, was the Chiefs.
Chiefs and Bears. Yeah, that was the
Chiefs,
other one.
Bears. So Bears, I lost.
So you won the money line and lost the cover.
Correct.
Right.
So
So
with
So
the
you're at
Chiefs, I won.
negative. You're at -15 after week 3.
Okay. That
So-
was
well, wait, wouldn't have wait, sorry. So what'd you win on the money line?
It's an even bet.
So
Well-
so he won 95,
yeah.
but he lost
No,
the cover.
no. No, on the money line he won. He won his money back, and on the cover
Okay.
he
I
lost
got
the
you.
cover, so he lost the 50. Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
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 So now this goes into next. I think that's all of them for that.
That was it. It was, and
Okay.
I had Cowboys and Pats, but you did say that you pulled that one because of the line changing. So
Yeah, the line changed on that one. All right,
Cool.
so then that goes into this week, then this past week, this previous week. So I had Eagles, Commanders.
yeah,
So
you
I
won both on
won.
that one, right?
I won Commanders, so I won 95.
Right.
Yeah.
I won Eagles, so I won 61.
That's so confusing.
I don't know why it pays like this, but it does.
I'm not gonna track it down to that level. I'm gonna just put down 50 because you got the 50 back on the money line. Because that'll just keep the math easier. I can do 61, but then we're gonna be like, we're at $11.32. Like I don't necessarily want to get that far with it.
I know, but
I'll add 61. It's a round number, so we'll call it good.
The other game was Arizona and the 49ers.
Yeah.
This is the one I got fucked in the last couple set. Did you watch the game, you guys?
It was not that close.
They were
Yeah.
gonna tie, they were gonna cover the spread, and
Until the last quarter.
no, they had the last two, they had like in the last 30 seconds, they were going down for a garbage touchdown. And if they got it, they would have covered the spread, not have won.
Oh,
The
you're right.
guy
It was
drops through his hands a touchdown. Then another guy drops through his hands a touchdown. I'm going crazy. I'm like, are you kidding me? And they lose the game by, they don't cover the spread. I was furious at that point because that right there was my lone loss that day. So Cardinals, I lost 50.
Yeah.
Won the 49ers, paid me 55.
It's so weird. Okay. Got it.
Then it was the Jets and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I won the Jets, paid me 95.
Okay.
I won the Chiefs, paid me 62. And that was it. That's it so far. Now
make one adjustment real quick and then give you your total for the week.
Okay.
Because technically on the money lines that you won 5 and 11, because you take the 50 off that you won, right? So just making sure we're tracking it the same way. And so you're plus 68 in week 2, which puts you on the total. You're up 53 so far through the 2 weeks.
2 weeks up 53. Now, I understand the dollar amount is low, but if I'm thinking if this strategy is effective and we raise the dollar amount, that small amount is going to equal a good amount of money, right? So it's going to translate. So meaning I'm
similar odds though. It's the exact same odds. The difference is you're risking more, but you could stand to gain more, but it's a lot riskier.
So, well, here's the way I'm looking at it, because with the strategy, with the whole point of it is it's limiting the downside completely. And it's giving you the ability. So if you look at what I'm betting each week, I'm betting about $400. And I'm comfortable knowing that 1 week, that first week where I was down, like whatever I was down
15. Yeah.
$15, that was one of the worst case scenarios. That's when all the underdogs were winning. 3 of them upset the favorite. So that's literally worst case scenario. But if you're betting large amounts of money, the upside, I think, is much more. So I'm thinking in my mind, what I'm doing is I'm shifting the odds slightly in my favor to make money as opposed to losing it. Right. So I'm having insurance on the downside. So So worst case scenario, 1 week, the upsets win, which is so rare. What happened that week is so fucking rare. Usually what happens is because it's the NFL, it's hard to blow teams out, late touchdowns, garbage points, they cover, right? Especially with the big spreads. So you win both ends. But even if they don't cover, you're still winning one side, losing the other side. Maybe you lose some on the vig, but it's like you're not going to lose your ass, right? So
But you got to understand, it's the same ratio. So if you lost 15 in week 1 and you change those back to 100, you now change that to -30 instead of -15, right? So in the same thing, instead of 68, now you've got 136. So it's you're up, instead of up 53, you're up 106 on the season. But it's still the same ratio if you think about it. You're making $100 bet, you got $100 profit on the week.
Correct.
Or if you had $50 bets, $50 profit on the week. Yes, if you hit more often than not, it's a slow winning percentage with
right. I mean,
risk.
We understand that it's a hedge. You're hedging.
Yeah.
But so just to put it in perspective, I think the thing that we're saying is, so far you've risked $700 is what you've risked, and what is he up?
53.
So you've risked 700, but you haven't really. But on $700 worth of bet, you've made
I've gambled
$53.
Yeah, technically you could say I risked it, even though in this scenario I'm only risking. I'm not really risking it.
Right. No, right, because you're hedging. I get that.
Yeah.
But what is Gary, can you do me a quick what is 53 divided by 53 divided by 700?
Now we still do have a pretty small sample size with just 2 weeks.
7.5%. It's 7.5%.
Okay, so you're making 7.5% on your money. So you're doing better than a savings account.
That's much better than a savings account. That's better than
my savings account. My savings account is at about 5.
Really?
Interest rates are up, man.
Man, I haven't. It's been so long since I've looked. Anyway,
I think my savings account's at last I looked, I think it's at 5.15. So you're doing better than a savings account.
Yeah.
But you're not doing better than you're not doing better than a CD. I mean, you can get a 10% CD right now, or 9.5, 10% CD.
All right,
so,
hold that thought there, champion.
Okay.
Because that's a challenge. All right, let me see if I can improve on my money. So look, just looking ahead this week, just to let you know, because I thought the Commanders were going to be our first game of this tomorrow, but the spread dropped by like 2 points for some reason. A massive drop in the spread, which scares me. So I'm not betting that game. But we do have, just as a little advertisement, the Giants and the Dolphins. I am all over that game. Although the Giants are the worst team in the NFL. I get it.
I know they look awful.
But 11 points is a lot of points.
We'll get to that.
I have to say,
look,
here's the thing.
I admitted it last week. I said I was obviously wrong about the Giants. I mean, I got it.
In this strategy, you cannot avoid games. So if it's over 7, you're taking it. Right?
That's fair.
It's a must. So it's the Giants, Dolphins, it's the Panthers and the Detroit Lions at a 10-point spread.
Okay.
And that's it.
What was that? Wait, hold on. No.
So you're going to take the Panthers to cover and the Lions to win there.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're going to take the Giants to cover and the Dolphins to win.
Correct.
And then those are the only two?
Those are the only two. Because of the Commanders line. So tomorrow too, maybe I might amp it up a little bit. I mean, should that be allowed? Should I be able to put more on these games, or should I have to keep it at 50 so we have an even?
It doesn't matter. The percentage is the same. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's up to you. But I mean, you have to remain consistent. So if you put 50, if you decide to go from 50 to 100, that's what you have to do on both.
No, absolutely. I'm with you there. I'm totally with you there. Every game's gonna be the same amount. But I just wanted to make it like a relative thing. Like if you bet the same every game all season, you would get X, and then you can kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, I'm thinking more about the whole. My thinking on this is that this system, you'll have some weeks where you win more, whatever. But
Mhm.
my feeling is because you're hedging every bet, you're not only hedging against loss, you're also hedging against wins.
Well, not
So
really. Because of the spread, there's that middle. That's what you're aiming for, is the middle, to middle it.
sure, I
So
understand that.
you
I
can
understand. But
last week I was middle, I was the middleman. I was your middleman last week.
You're a
All right?
lucky Pierre for
I
sure.
understand. I understand. But
I was
just
your
okay.
middleman.
But hold on. But for example, let's say what is the money line on the Giants Dolphins game
10.
for the
Oh,
Giants?
the money line.
What's the Giants money line?
It's
Um
plus 410.
yeah.
So you see, if you bet the Giants outright, $100 to you bet the Giants outright, you would win $410. You see what I'm
Sure,
saying? So like,
sure. But you're more
so
than
what
likely going to lose 100.
I understand, but of course that's the whole point. It's more risk, but it's
This is
way more reward.
That's why
Whereas
this is
if your
That's
system pans out,
not
your
really exactly how the odds work, but the point's valid.
I mean, it's usually you put 100, you get 410 back. You would win 310. Sorry, you'd win 310.
Yeah.
Um,
You win
Isn't that,
5-10, but yeah, no, you're good.
or yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, you're good.
you would
I
win.
just
You would be
shouldn't
up
but
410. Sorry. Yeah. You'd be up
yes,
410.
you're exactly right.
Yeah. So that's my
But this
point
is
though,
the
is that so you're hedging. So okay. So you're going to bet the way you bet. If the Giants win, right? The Giants win that game outright. You're going to lose the Dolphins. You're going to win
maybe.
the Giants.
Oh, you're right. You're right. That's the
You'd win
worst
the
game.
Giants. Lose the Dolphins,
Yeah,
and
that's the worst.
you lose, and you're down. You lose $5 or whatever.
Mhm.
But you by placing that one bet, you just I mean, I'm just saying that like
Yeah.
you're hedging your
I
wins.
totally agree
So
with you. Yeah.
so like when you bet, like when you bet the Cardinals to cover against the Cowboys, I'll bet that money line was probably I'll bet it was plus 400, plus 500.
Was.
And so would so you
I would
lost
have broke
five
the bet.
dollars on a game that you would have won $500 or whatever.
No question. No question. This isn't, that's why the name of this strategy is the everyman's betting strategy, not the balls out strategy. That's a
Yeah,
different strategy. I'm going to do
sure.
that strategy later.
I,
Don't worry about that. My
I
balls out
understand.
strategy is going to be, picking winners. That's when you're picking winners. This has nothing to do with picking winners. This is a very much someone
We've
who
established that.
doesn't want to who doesn't want to get divorced, doesn't want to lose their entire paycheck, but yet has a gambling problem and
I,
wants to
And also
experience.
already gave his balls away to somebody because he clearly can't.
Yes. So say your wife has your balls. You can, and you have a gambling problem. You can still gamble on every one of these games and put a good amount and know that you're not going to lose it all and get your balls broken by your wife. You can
I
still put
understand. Okay,
same gorgeous balls out there the next week.
I
Yet
understand.
another slew
I
of
understand.
games.
Listen, I
Yes.
understand. We understand. What I'm saying is, I think if you if you picked a big money line, every week you picked one crazy money line every week. I suspect that you would win. Maybe you'd win three of those. Maybe you'd win two over the season, but that would be more than what you're going to make doing it your way.
That could be a next season's
So
experiment.
I'm saying
Um,
I'm saying you could maybe I'm wrong, but I think
I
you could
think
probably
you are.
go three. You could probably go 3-15 in your picks, but do better on those three because the money lines are so outrageous. If you hit like that Cardinals
Yeah.
game was probably the biggest upset, and that if you're just playing a long shot strategy where you're just like, I'm just going to pick the biggest long shot, each week, you're going to win that bet a couple times a year. It's going to happen at
Sure.
least twice a year. A big underdog wins it.
If you
And
pick that underdog, because there's going to be a lot of different underdogs in a week, right? So you've got to put your money on the right underdog. That's the thing. That's the challenge. You're right
well,
about it.
of
You're
course,
right. You're right, because
of
there's going to be those
course,
upsets.
Of course. I'm just
I
saying,
would
but what you're
go
doing is you're hedging against big winnings because like you're not taking the gamble on the big winnings.
correct.
I turned my car off and now my car keeps telling me battery discharge warning, which is making me a little nervous. Um, I'm like, nothing's on. So
You need one of those for when you're drinking.
yeah, right. Anyway,
So
um,
I'm absolutely 100% with you on that. And that's why this is literally, I'm actually trying to book speaking time at Gamblers Anonymous because I think this would be a perfect kind of, this is like a way to kind of not lose your life, not lose your marriage, but it's kind of like
You're a
teasing them off of
genius.
gambling and saying, look,
so
this,
here's where we are. We have now a new challenge has entered the ring. Whether Mike's misogyny is more unethical, or the fact that he wants to go find degenerate gamblers and push and nudge them towards getting back in the game.
Yeah, he wants to, he wants to
So
give gambling tips to Gamblers Anonymous. That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's a real challenge to see which is the bigger ethical failing. I'm not sure.
well, the
But
first one is
it's
non-existent for one thing.
yes, you're right. Misogyny doesn't exist. You are correct.
In
Sure.
in this guy, it doesn't.
Okay.
I love all of
You love all the ladies. We've
all
established
of
that.
all of the beautiful ladies. All right,
We
back
just
to
figured
this.
out, Brad, how we connect Mike's misogyny rundown with the
Yeah,
gambling bit.
for sure. It's and I love that you always have to put the caveat in that you love all the beautiful ladies. It's not
Yes,
all the
of
ladies,
course, of course.
just the ones that you find subjectively beautiful.
I love
Um,
them all, but I
yeah,
especially
yeah, they're the only ones. And then the real question is, do you love them as full human beings, or because you love what you fantasize about doing with them?
oh, that's gross. Come on. I love them all.
Uh-huh.
Love all of them. Even the unattractive one. I love all humans. I love all human beings.
Right.
So,
Um,
you
yeah,
know,
No politics,
I
Brad.
just
on this
Don't fight. Don't
I
on
fight.
just
this
No
special
politics.
day, on this
I just
special day,
I just
9/11. I wish a happy 9/11 to everyone, even the haters and losers. Anyway, um, it's a classic Mike right there. Happy 9/11 to everybody, even the haters and the losers. Um, yeah. Anyway, that is
Okay.
a chef's kiss.
All right.
All right, so let's see. So let's run down our week. See what we've
Oh,
got. While
yeah, let's jump in here because we can go
I'm
from one.
sorry. I can't help it. I am still laughing at the fact that you want to give gambling tips at Gamblers Anonymous. I just can't. Like, that's just too good, Mike.
Look,
there is,
listen, it's the same mindset as giving out like needles, free clean needles to drug
Like,
addicts. Right? Like
no,
it's the
no,
same mindset as saying,
no. That's harm
here's
reduction.
here's
Yours
methanol,
is harm addition.
here's methanol, whatever that drug is called, methanol or whatever to help some weed,
Methadone.
methadone. It's the
Yeah.
same type of stuff. It's like, look, if you have the itch, here's a way to do it where it's not going to ruin your life. Right? Here's a way to do it where, hey, if you have the worst freaking week and you're a degenerate gambler, guess what? You lost, in my case here, $30, right? In that 1 week.
I
You
think
know,
that you have a bit of a misunderstanding about what it is about gambling that people like.
it's the
When they
rushing.
become addicted, yeah, there's no rush in what you're doing.
Well, you're right about that. It's
You're
gonna
hedging.
take, well, that's why, look, that's why it's not the real thing, brother. It's like you're still betting money. It's that you still have
Right.
action on the
Right.
game.
But
You
it's
could
like,
root.
what you're
but
doing
right,
is you're
but
going to AA and offering them a Coors Light, is what you're doing. Like,
no, it's even worse than that. You're like you're going to NA and you're saying, hey, all of you guys that all of the intravenous drug users, here's a syringe full of glucose. You see, my system is you still get the rush of putting a needle in your body, but you don't get any of the high. And nobody is going to be like, oh yeah, the thing that I really missed was the needle. It was the needle that I loved. not the high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my disease makes me crave a needle.
Well, listen, I think you're wrong because there is a little bit of a rush when you can actually middle the games like what happened. What we saw last week gives you a one hell of a rush when you can run off in one game when you can go boom, won it right down the middle and call it and plan it. And then the next game, it does the same thing. And then the third game, it nearly does the same thing. I mean, there's no rush quite like it. That's an amazing.
I'll give you a better one using gambling. Back when I lived in Baltimore, and we used to do a lot of betting through that restaurant. I took my winnings one year and decided to put $500 down on a 10-team parlay.
Ooh.
And I lost it on a final drive touchdown in the last game. That was a $38,000 payout.
Oh my God.
Like that rush, sir,
were you in Atlantic City?
More significant than the one you were on. What's that?
Were you in Atlantic City?
No. Well, I'm not going to tell you how I did it, but I did it. We'll just say it that way. Like,
but yes,
everybody
I agree
knows
with
there's
you.
ways to gamble.
Listen, G-Money, I totally agree with you, but that's like a hardcore gamblers. Like if he's going on a bender gambler.
Who do you think's in Gamblers Anonymous?
Right.
Like,
people that are trying to quit. I think it's people that are trying to quit. So if like they give in, they can
that's
go
a
on
true
a bender.
statement.
Like with my strategy, they can go, man, they could go to AC and just look at the board and pick the spreads and be like, with stacks of money and have stacks of money on these games and then middle them.
You're the devil on the shoulder. You realize that, right? You're not the angel.
But he's not even
providing-
he's like the most boring devil.
No. Well, that's what they say about methadone. They say it isn't quite the real thing, but it
no, it's not. That's the whole point. Is so that you break the addiction to heroin, and then you can reduce the methadone because it's not doing the same thing to your brain chemistry.
Well, that's what this is.
It's not. Methadone is harm reduction. You are saying, hey, I know you've quit. I'd like to add some more harm back to your life.
No. I don't like the way
you're going, the guy's going, everybody's like, keep coming back. It works if you work it. And you're like, I'll tell you what works. Right down the middle.
I know you really like heroin, but try this cocaine.
I love that
like
pitch.
It's not as bad.
But that's exactly right. I know you listen, I know you really like heroin. Try these OxyContin. They're kind of real similar. But they're not as bad, maybe. It's mind-blowing.
We lost him.
Yeah, well,
he's like, he's a piece of shit. I gotta leave.
He's talking to somebody off camera going, my system makes sense, right? I should take this to Gamblers Anonymous, right? I'm not crazy.
He's Pat talking into the mirror. Or no, Stuart Smalley talking in the mirror.
Listen.
My system's
By the way,
enough.
this is delicious stuff. I don't know if you guys ever drink this.
I can't hardly read it. It's blurred, partly blurred out. Oh. I don't know if I ever saw that.
A giant, it's sugar-free. They're $1, right? I don't drink sodas, but I'm a total sucker for like the flavored stuff. Look at that. 0 sugar, strawberry and cream.
I like that you just said I don't drink soda and then showed us a Dr. Pepper.
It says 0 sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really count.
Right. It's a carbonated soda?
No.
No, it's something completely different. You're not listening.
So
I mean, this is all making sense. This is all making sense. The idea that you think taking your gambling system to Gamblers Anonymous makes more sense in the context of you being the kind of person who says, see this sugar-free Dr. Pepper? That's not soda.
Soda's all sugary.
Sure, it's carbonated. Sure, it's syrup. Sure, it's all the ingredients of soda except for sugar.
It's not soda. It's pop. It's pop.
It's pop. This is sparkling ice, black cherry.
That's soda water.
Yeah,
with flavoring. There is a difference.
0 sugar.
Sure. I was only contending the Dr.
Oh,
Pepper.
of course, I'm with you on that one.
That is good.
That is not flavored soda water.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
So,
All right. So
to be
let's
clear,
talk
so
last
hold on,
week's
hold on.
games.
I haven't ended my segment just yet. I haven't
Oh,
ended the
Good
segment.
Lord. Okay. I didn't think it could go farther downhill than
So, to be clear, we have only 2 games
yes.
Yep.
going into next week. I am absolutely on fire right now. As far as just general picks, if you guys would like, I'll go over mine because I was on one
Oh.
heck of a streak.
Whoop, whoop. Oh, you mean last week? No, that's spilt milk at this point. We don't
In
need to hear
Yahoo,
how you performed.
um,
Partly because
11
we all performed
points.
so badly. So,
Yeah.
11 points. Is anyone double digits?
Nope.
so
No, I
far
had a
this
terrible week. I did terrible.
You
no,
did?
you had the
Um,
best for sure.
I'm gonna.
Next.
I think I need to stop just picking teams to be contrarian at this point. But I'm not that worried. I feel like I start to feel like we're all picking the same, so I start going. I'll pick somebody different. I'm not
I
gonna
am
do that
feeling like
anymore.
on fuego. I am absolutely feeling on fuego right now.
What's the
That means on
what's the
fire.
money line? What's the money line? Thanks. What's the money line on Carolina?
What, next week?
Yeah.
Hold on. I was still looking back at all my victories.
Let's see.
Carolina, 9.5. What?
9.5 at Detroit.
Yeah,
What's the
because
money line?
No,
that's
it's the
one of
money line. It's
my
what you're supposed know.
that's one of my
Plus
game.
360.
Yeah. See, I is Bryce Young out this week?
I don't think so. I think he's playing.
He came out for a little bit. I wasn't sure. Yeah, okay. Never mind. I won't touch that. As long as Bryce Young's playing, I wouldn't touch it. If if I
Andy Dalton back
if
in.
Andy Dalton was starting, I might roll the dice on that because plus 360. Carolina's 0-4. The defense is playing really well. Bryce Young is terrible. But if Andy Dalton's in there, that offense has a little bit of a spark to it. And,
Yeah.
they don't look like an 0-17 team. They're going to
No,
win
and
somewhere.
I think this is
And
a
the
good
Lions have
place
no
to
defense. Huh?
this is a good place to start for the week too, is we can talk about the Carolina just generally speaking. I don't
Yeah.
think they're new. I think I kind of agree. Like I get your point and I agree with that, but what I was gonna say is they're kind of doing a disservice to Bryce Young if you think about it. He's not ready. So why not
Well,
put the veteran in and let him like catch up to the speed of the game and learn a little bit? Because this could be like lasting damage to him.
yeah,
That's my
I,
concern.
I yeah, I agree. And it's early enough in the season that you could say, all right, look, we're just gonna, let's let Andy roll for a couple of weeks and see how it goes. I think the thing with Bryce Young is, and remember, the Panthers, by the way, sorry to digress, but like the Panthers do not have a first round draft pick next year either.
I know.
So
Yeah,
they
they
are
don't.
not in the Caleb Williams running either. Right now, in fact, if the season ended today, the Chicago Bears would have the number 1 and number 2 overall pick.
Oh yeah, they just
Number
should
1 and
trade for
2.
Justin Fields.
Because they have Carolina's pick.
Oh,
So
And
yeah,
they
they have
played
Carolina.
Minnesota fairly well, if you think about it. They really were in that game the whole time,
Yeah.
and it was the second half that Minnesota saved Mike's ass on the
nobody's
on
going to
his.
beat Minnesota
Yeah.
from this point moving forward, guys.
You had to be worried at halftime, though.
I'm not
Well,
worried from this point forward for the rest of the year. Forget about it. I'm not worried at
but
all.
again, so I think the thing with Bryce Young is, you know, he was a bit of a baffling pick to begin with, to get drafted like he was,
Mm.
because he's such a size outlier. I mean, again, it's like I know, I know that in theory, you can be undersized like Kyler Murray and have some success in the NFL. That seems feasible, even if we haven't really seen it yet. Mm, Murray looks like if he could stay healthy, he could have some success. Or to be an undersized guy and succeed seems feasible. I mean, Baker Mayfield's doing it. However, Bryce Young is undersized. He is a size outlier, to be sure,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't like Baker is stocky. You know what I mean? Like Kyler Murray is an incredible athlete and is himself also stockier. He's got a little more body to him. Bryce is like short and small. He's slight, and he doesn't have like an elite skill set as far as I can see. He has I guess a relatively quick release, but he's a relatively quick release and he's a pretty accurate passer. But he doesn't have an elite arm. He doesn't have elite mobility. He has he's not fast. He's not he doesn't have agility or acceleration in any way. He doesn't have a burst that makes you think, well, he could escape a pocket in a you know Lamar Jackson-esque way or anything like that. He doesn't have, like I said, the elite arm. He does, the one thing that he has that's elite is that he seems like he's smart. I mean, he does seem like a smart guy. But that doesn't get you over the physical limitations. And
That just makes
I
you
don't
Ryan
know.
Fitzpatrick. That's all that makes you.
Right. And I mean, and Fitzpatrick was smart, but he had some other
Mhm.
skills. He was a very
Yeah.
accurate passer.
He had
He made good
moxie.
decisions. Huh?
He had moxie. It's what he
He
had.
did. I mean, he did. He made, he inspired his teammates.
Mhm.
He had leadership. And maybe Bryce Young has that. I'm not sure. I'm not, I can't quite tell if he does or doesn't. It doesn't, I haven't seen evidence that he's, I don't know. I'm not real impressed. Anyway, yeah, no, they're definitely doing him a disservice, but I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I don't think he ever will be a successful NFL quarterback because I don't know how, I can't envision the way in which he's able to overcome the physical limitations of the position. I'm just not sure how he does that.
Well,
How big is he?
he's 5'10", and he's
Oh,
205. He is built more like a small receiver, really,
Yeah.
than anything. But the only thing I was going to say is, like, if he actually had a team around him offensively, like, who knows what this kid would be, right? Because I mean, Chuba Hubbard, like, it's not Christian McCaffrey, right?
No, right.
And even looking at Kyler Murray, the only difference is the mobility to me in those two. And Kyler
Yeah,
Murray being
but that's a big
open source.
difference. But that's a
He
huge
also has
difference.
DeAndre Hopkins for the first 3 years. Like, who is he throwing to? Like, they traded away DJ Moore, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he went to Chicago, funny enough. But I mean, so it's like they don't have a ton of, like, premier talent around him either.
That's true. Yeah, that's
That's why
true.
a vet does make better use of that talent. And that's
Right.
why Dalton is the right answer. But that's part of what I mean by a disservice to the kid is, no, he doesn't. Here, we'll make the segue, right? Like, he does not have the swagger that CJ Stroud is showing. Like, and I don't know what the difference is. If there's an age difference, I would have to look. I don't really know, but there is a noticeable difference between the way the two are approaching the game. And it's
Oh,
more
no
than just
question.
size. It's
Yeah,
here too, mentally.
sure. Yeah,
So who
no,
you
I
guys
mean,
taking in this game?
What's
in
that?
the
Who you
oh,
guys taking?
In the
uh,
Carolina Detroit game?
Yeah.
Or are we doing picks already?
Yeah, and then when we're going through each game making picks.
We're just kind of talking about last week.
we were talking about last week, but I
Oh,
mean,
last week.
yeah, but yeah, no, I think the thing with Stroud, I mean, Stroud is just, I mean, obviously, just looks
He's
ready.
playing incredible.
He's
Yeah.
playing great football, and honestly, outside of the Ravens game, he's played well pretty much week in week out.
Think
Or
about
no,
the
yeah,
fact that they have a couple of injuries on their offensive line, and TJ Watt never got to him. No one on that Pittsburgh defense ever got to him in that
yeah,
entire day. They're doing a
and
lot of good work on the line too.
and since we're on the topic, Pickett is cooked.
Oh, he's done. He's terrible.
He is absolutely terrible.
I
And
hope he starts. I hope he
yeah,
starts this week.
I don't even know who their backup. Who's their backup? Oh, it's Trubisky.
It's Trubisky, yeah.
Yeah, so
Labisky.
that's I mean
I'd rather have
Trubisky.
Pickett.
Well, the thing about Trubisky that's still it's always a little bit I'm sorry, shifting over to that game. The thing about Trubisky is that, I never quite understood that pick from the Bears. He just had no starting time under his belt when he came into the NFL.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was
And
terrible.
so to put all that on, what was he picked number 2 overall, 3 overall, something like that?
He was up there.
Way too soon. And I mean, he basically, hold on. Oh, I was like, oh no, my car is about to blow up, but there's a helicopter going overhead. So forget that I'm right here by the Army Air Base.
Why would
But
you think your car is about to blow up?
yeah, well, because I heard it was one of those big transport choppers going overhead. but I wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh my god, my engine sounds terrible. No, the thing about Trubisky though is that I'm still not completely convinced that he can't be a serviceable backup, like a decent backup quarterback in the NFL who can come in and win some games. He has arm talent. He has no decision making ability. And that has long been the thing that plagued him was he can't make good decisions. But it seems like, that is still something that is coachable. I mean,
Sure.
decision making is a coachable skill.
Put him on the San Francisco 49ers. Do you really think he has to think? Like, I'm not trying to discount, like Brock Purdy and what he's doing, because the kid is a good quarterback, because he's not making mistakes either. But
Sure.
also don't put him in a position to make those mistakes.
Sure.
So the play calling is great, partly because that team is just insanely stacked. But
yeah. Well, yeah.
an interesting thing.
And Shanahan's, maybe the best coach in the NFL.
I don't
But
know.
I said maybe. I mean, he's certainly he's certainly among the best coaches.
But he's not in the big game, not until he's done it. Like he
Oh,
was
okay,
the
yeah,
OC when Atlanta just cratered against New England, right? And he's not had the greatest run in San Francisco in the big moments. So
understand, but I mean, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about week to week game planning. He's as good. He's as good as anyone in the NFL. Which is
he's Peyton Manning. Great in the regular season, not great in the playoffs. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean that's yeah. That is sure. I mean, we can argue about him in the playoffs and all that. Fine. I mean, and that's valid. But I mean, in terms of, we're talking about in terms of putting a quarterback like Mitch Trubisky on that team, Shanahan is going to coach him up to get the most out of it. And that's all I meant. I mean, he might not ever win a Super Bowl or whatever. He may never, Shanahan. But Trubisky would be a better quarterback in San Francisco. I mean, although he couldn't make Trey Lance a good quarterback, but
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, but I don't think he ever had the same skill set.
No, I think Trey Lance was one of those guys who was in the aftermath of Lamar's MVP. Everybody in the NFL was like, I want to find one. And Trey Lance, I can see superficially looks like maybe he has those skills.
He was great in college. Like he was really good in college.
Well,
but it's a different game, of course.
Right, of course. Different game, different competition. Anyway, so sorry. So Pickett's cooked. Back to where we were. I mean, I think he just looks. I mean, it's maybe the worst second-year regression I've seen, certainly in a long time. I mean, because
coordinator.
Yeah,
I will see your regression with Kenny Pickett, and I will raise you a Mac Jones, sir.
Oh. Yes, love.
Mommy's mad at you because you're just sitting there with the car running and you're wasting gas.
No, okay.
Also, I came here to say good night.
Good night. I love you. I had the car off. I just turned it back on. I love him.
Yes, PSA for our millions of viewers.
Tell Mommy that I had the car off, but I turned it back on because I'm running the light. So I'm going to turn it off again. Thank you. Okay. I mean, what do you want from me, lady? I am.
So you actually are getting a backseat driver without her actually being in the car.
I know. Well, it's like, I turned the car off. I had the car off, but then my lights all went out. So I got to figure out a way to do both things. So I don't have a place to
Don't-
be.
Is this where we get the Travis Kelce advertisement? Two things at once, because I know we've all seen that 100 times.
Well, Kelsey has become Baker Mayfield. I can't watch a football game without seeing Travis Kelsey 50 times. Which is what
that's so
it
annoying.
used to be with Baker Mayfield. And
Can we
yeah.
not talk about the person who we would rather not talk about on this tonight?
Yeah, no, well, the question, earlier this week, Garrick, you proposed the question: is the NFL saturated? And I would say the NFL certainly thinks it's set. It's the NFL certainly believes that it's reached its saturation point in the market, or they are
Right.
concerned that they have, and that is why we see so much Taylor Swift coverage, because they
No
are
question.
trying to find any way to branch out to bring this
A
game
new
to more
audience.
people.
Right. From a business standpoint, it's brilliant. Like, why wouldn't you eat it up while you can, catch this moment in time, and who knows, you might hook another few million viewers that you didn't have before. But when I asked that question, I was more meaning as a fan of the sport, like football as a whole, it's on I grew up loving this, right? But it's so much now, and it's so commercialized, and there's so much controversy almost every week that it's like the Ravens and there's so many injuries too, right? Throw that in there. But watching the Ravens and Browns this last week, I turned the game off and just started watching Red Zone Channel, because I'm like, this is not a good football game. Our defense was playing great, but against what? A flag football quarterback.
Yeah.
A kid who's just another kid like Trey Lance, who I don't want to judge the kid yet, because he was good in
way
preseason.
over his head. He was in over his head.
Totally in over his head, and going up against the Raven defense as your first start is an impossible.
And a Ravens defense that was firing on all cylinders. I mean,
for sure. That's what I mean. They're playing great right now. So, but it just the whole week just kind of felt kind of meh. There were a couple of bright spots, like watching Buffalo kick the shit out of Miami. I thought that was I loved it. Partly just because that team needed to be humbled a little bit, because I do think Miami is an incredible team, but they were that humility now is going to come back into play.
Yeah.
And to see that you're wrong about how bad Buffalo is going to be this year made me happy too.
I didn't say they were going to be bad, if you recall. I said I think that Buffalo's still okay. I think that Buffalo is. I still don't think they're going. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl. I don't think they're there. I don't think they've done enough to help Josh Allen. I think all of their success will be entirely on the shoulders of Josh Allen. I mean, obviously, Diggs. There's other contributors. Don't get me wrong, but I think Allen has to shoulder too much of the burden, and they've got no real good running game behind him. Cook is, whatever.
He's fine, but for the regular season, he's not a playoff running back. At least not what we've seen yet.
No, right, not that we've seen yet. And I think that's my point, is that I think that Buffalo has not done anything to improve themselves. And it's as if they are just content to be go to the playoffs and lose team.
The only counterpoint I'm going to give you is I agree with everything you said, except for one key point. I think the guy that could be that guy for them in the playoffs doesn't play that much yet, because Latavius Murray is so much better than he gets credit for being. Every team he goes to, he performs, and he's the 3 guy right now. But if they were to lean on him, he is the counterbalance to the Josh Allen style offense that they might get if he's still got the legs for it.
I was going to say, but Murray's got to be 31, 32 now.
Sure, but look at the last few seasons; he hasn't really been playing more than part-time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know I had him one year. He's a bum.
I mean, I hear you, and I'm not going to throw discount that out of hand, but I still don't. I don't think that's their answer. I think the Bills. I think the Bills just seem unwilling to really bring in the 1 or 2 more complementary pieces necessary to make that a Super Bowl team. That's what I think. And I mean, for whatever reason, I mean, maybe they think they've done it, but I mean, I think that
they invested on their defense like we do more.
Say that again.
They probably invest more on their defense like we do.
Maybe, but I mean, they let guys like Tremaine Edwards leave, and who's the other guy they let? One other guy leave that was anyway. I mean,
Their defense is nasty.
we shall see, but in the short term, I stick with what I said about Buffalo. I think they're a very good team, but I just said I think that they might not win the East this year, and I just don't see them being a Super Bowl making a run. And if you're not making a run with Josh Allen at this point in his career, what are you doing?
Well, if you look over the whole like I'm looking over the whole AFC. Outside of, I mean, I think Baltimore is the best team in the AFC, to be honest with you, outside of Kansas City, maybe. And there really isn't that many good teams. I'm looking at the AFC. I don't really see anyone jumping out outside of Kansas City and Buffalo. I think those are the only two really.
The Dolphins?
The Dolphins as well.
Not sold on the Dolphins. Just because they tend to be so hot the first half of the year. I just like to see them.
That's fair. I think there's 4 teams though. I agree with your Baltimore assessment. Like Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo, and Miami. Those are the 4. But I don't put like Kansas City has to be near the top, partly just because of Mahomes. But as a team, they don't really have that. Talking about teams with not much talent around their quarterback, like
Sure.
Pacheco is pretty good, but outside that, like and Kelsey, of course, we're just gonna avoid talking about Kelsey because everybody else is doing plenty of that. But
Sure.
but that receiving core is not a very like he's had so much better receiving cores over the years.
Yeah, agreed. That it is another team that is putting a ton of pressure on their quarterback. However, the only difference I would say there is Andy Reid has made a living with middling receivers, and sort of getting using middling receivers to spread the ball around on a regular basis, having your quarterback throw the ball to 9-10 guys. I mean, that's what Reid did with Donovan McNabb. It's what he did. It's what he's done for years.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call Tyreek Hill middling though. Like
no, Tyreek Hill. Obviously
those
not.
teams have not been the same since he's been gone. Like none of the teams, even though they won.
But they did win a Super Bowl.
I know.
Yeah. They won a Super Bowl without it.
Any of those AFC teams, though, I just don't see them. Like when I watch Philly and San Fran, I just feel like they are head and shoulders above the rest of the league, both NFC and AFC. I think NFC.
San Francisco, yes. I don't necessarily agree on Philly right now.
I don't know about Philly.
Until they get hot.
I mean, I think Philly on paper looks like they should be, but they haven't been yet.
They're squeaking by a lot of teams, yeah.
Yeah.
They're winning, but they're not doing it convincingly.
Right.
Their defense has played well, but even still, their defense hasn't been quite as lights out as I would have expected. And I mean, offensively, they are a real mystery. I mean, honestly, maybe Philly's the most mysterious team on offense right now. I can't figure out if they're a good team or not.
When that clicks, though, that team is loaded.
What about what about Dallas? Forgot about Dallas. We got Dallas out there too. I didn't think about Dallas.
I'm going to stick. I'm going to sound like a broken record. Dallas is fundamentally limited.
Miami, like the NFC
by the guy who's calling plays for them.
Mm-hmm.
And in a game like this week against the Patriots, where again, look at the line. What's Dak Prescott do in that game? Nothing. He does nothing. He doesn't have to. I get it, but like that game was out of hand. The defense handled that game, and that's fine as long as Dallas is in position that Mike McCarthy doesn't have to come up with a creative play to get them out of a hole. As long as Mike McCarthy doesn't have to coach them to a win, they'll be fine.
Dallas at San Fran this week. At San Fran this week. That's the game of the week, baby. The game of the week.
As soon as McCarthy has to coach them, as soon as he has to coach them to a win, they're toast.
Yeah.
He's just not a good play caller. He's not. And he has skated by for a long time on the back of on the strength of Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah.
And and frankly, with Aaron Rodgers, with the I mean, look at the receiving core they had year after year. They had Devontae Adams, and before him, Randall Cobb. But it was always like Randall Cobb, and then I
Why he
don't know,
wanted out. I think that's why he wanted out. Because
you
Devontae
know,
Adams was not a stud receiver when he came out of college. He grew
right?
into that and has become that guy, but he wasn't
Yeah,
initially. They were on the fence on him early on.
sure. And I mean, but you've got Aaron Rodgers making
Hmm.
guys like Lazard, a
Mhm.
better receiver. I mean, who is serviceable? He's a decent receiver.
Makes good catches out there.
What was the other guy at Green Bay? Had
Thinking
the
of
height.
Jordy Nelson.
Oh, he
Well,
had Jordy
Jordy
Nelson.
Nelson too. Like he went to he went to the Raiders afterwards, I think, and he never
Yeah,
quite was the same guy.
no, never close. I mean, and I mean, I get that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a generational kind of talent,
It's why
but
Edelman never left New England. He knew better. Like, let's
who?
be honest. Edelman. It's why he never left New England. He knew better.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think McCarthy, he got by on Rodgers' talent, and I
Mhm.
mean, I get it. You get credit at the top. But in Dallas, they certainly have one of the most talented rosters in football, no question, at every level. I I love Tony Pollard. I do think that you know I think that Pollard without Zeke, you see Pollard is not quite the dynamic back that he was when he could come in and be a change of pace. Um, even in weeks where he was starting for Zeke, Zeke was hurt or whatever, he still just was always so fresh, and it was just a different role. I mean, again, Pollard's a great back, but I mean, and look, Zeke Elliott seems like he was always overrated. He's well, maybe not always, but you know, he brings a dynamic to a team
I
that
think
that you can
I think
exploit with
I
Pollard.
think it's more that people expected something from him. Like he never really was that different. He was the same guy at college that he became in the pros, but everybody thought he was gonna become the next, Terrell Davis or whoever, and he never
Right.
grew into that fully. But I
Yeah,
think
right.
I think the big thing for the Cowboys and why I don't put them on the list, Mike, is it's losing Diggs has really changed that defense. It's not nearly as like because when you can put him man, like
Mhm.
their 10 on 10 is better than yours. And that's how they were just crushing everybody. But now when you have to play zone at times, cover two or whatever else they're running whenever they call for it, it exposes the weak links in that defense a little bit more, not
Mhm.
having Diggs on the field.
Yeah. No, agreed. Um, so yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think that, I mean, we'll see about the Cowboys, but I still think the biggest limitation for the Cowboys will always be, as long as he's there, the
No, I agree with
combination of
that too.
Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy.
And
Because I
then
Yeah.
I do think you get that arrogance from the top down, and that doesn't help either.
I'm going to
yep.
go back to Mike. That's something Mike said though a minute ago. When you put Baltimore as number one in the AFC, I'm going to use your own argument against you a little bit. That is the argument that Miami disappears in the second half of the season.
Oh yeah.
Baltimore tends to do something
Yeah.
similar around playoff time. Like
Yep.
they shouldn't in the second week from the end of the season. And it's just, so they're the same for me. Like they've been hot. They were 13-3 a few years ago. Like,
Mhm.
and they get hot. And then all of a sudden they just have one of those games.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I cheer for them every week. But at the same time, it's like, who's the best team? Like for me, I don't know how it's not Buffalo right now. Like that
Yeah.
team, they got their cage rattled by the Jets in week 1. And ever since that point, there has not been a ball game they've been in. Like it has been a waxing every week.
Yeah. Yeah. I really haven't really even paid attention to the scores and how much they've been winning by lately.
It's like 38-10, 38-16, and 38
40
or
to
40,
20.
48-20 this last week. Yeah.
20,
So
yeah.
like they're winning by 4 touchdowns in every game minimum.
Who do the Bills get this week? Or are they on bye?
Uh, they got Jacksonville at home. Oh, in London. That's the early morning
Oh,
game.
That's right, in London. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that's a home game for them, for
did you guys
Buffalo.
watch any of the Jacksonville Atlanta game?
No, I couldn't get it because I was on the road. and so didn't have, and I don't have ESPN Plus. I can kind
Oh,
of,
I forgot
I
that's
can,
what it was.
I can get to it at home, but not on the road. Um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, no, I mean, Atlanta is showing themselves to be pretty much who we thought they were in the beginning. Um, a team that certainly is moving in the right direction. They certainly have some. They're pretty
Mhm.
solid on the defensive side of the ball, and Bijan Robinson is very much as advertised,
Yep.
but with very little around him. Ritter looks like a guy who I don't know. I don't think he looks like a starting quarterback to me, but maybe he is. He he looks like he looked pretty lost this week from what I saw.
Mm.
Um, but
Yep.
he's not without
Hey,
talent. You know,
no, I mean, and London's pretty good. Like he's got London and Pitts. I think they've got the key pieces, but I agree with that. I don't think Ritter is like they've got the pieces. If you look at that offense, like Pitts and
yeah,
London, and I don't remember everybody who's on that team, but man, like put those two with Robinson and Algier together, and like that's a pretty decent amount of weapons on offense for them not
sure.
to be performing the way that they are. It's
Well, it also seemed though, like, and I think I might have mentioned this before. I don't know. I don't even know exactly what this means, but they look like they're trying to build a different kind of way to win. Like they look like they've kind of, in some ways they look like they've tried to scrap the model a little bit. And while they've got the talent, they don't seem like they're particularly pushing hard to get the ball into the hands of their talented athletes at any sort of accelerated clip. You know what I mean? It seems more just like they seem like a team. I don't exactly know how to explain it from what I've watched. They look to me like a team that is goes into every game with a game plan to win 17-13. You know what I mean? Like that's what it looks like to me. They look like a team that game plans. All right,
They
if we
definitely
can,
want to lead with their defense. Like they're definitely that
yeah.
kind of team.
Well, for sure, for sure. But even the way that they utilize their offense seems.
I agree.
I mean, in
I
some
wonder how
ways,
much of that is the quarterback though, and they don't feel
well,
like he's capable of stretching it.
yeah. Well, that's a real question. I mean, they went with Ritter,
Mhm.
and I mean, they made that choice when there were other options out there. So, on some
I
level, I
think it
guess they
was
were.
I think it was the right call this year though. I mean, he showed some progression last year. And I mean, it is still just week 4 and he's had a few moments. So who knows if it'll either click or it won't. And if it doesn't, we know that in this offseason they're going to make a different decision.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and it's a pretty quarterback heavy draft, so you might as well try him out this year and see what happens.
Right.
There's some talent this year in the yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah,
so who's going
that's
to break out? Who do you think's going to break out and win the South? Every single team is 2-2.
Jacksonville. Maybe the Colts. I could see the
I
Colts.
was going
Colts
to
are
say, I
actually
think,
playing really well.
you
They're fighting for sure.
someone in one of these
Actually,
divisions. I think it's going to be I think it
man,
might be the Chargers. Someone in one of these divisions is going to make a run at the end. Maybe the Texans.
I'm just going to say, I was about to say, in the South, I'm changing. No, I'm going to say it's going to be the Texans. Like the
Texans.
way they're playing, that defense is playing good. Stroud is playing way better than he should after 4 games, in the NFL. So I mean, and they're just a super young team
no,
that's
and
still kind of figuring out who they are.
he's
Watch.
got he's as the best one of the best things in terms of the best signs you see from a quarterback is when they seem to make a real connection with a talented receiver, and he and Nico
Yeah.
Collins really seem to be very much on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I know last week Tank Dell got all the numbers, Nico Collins
Well,
was still involved.
he's a
Huh?
rookie too. Like Tank Dell's even a rookie. So I mean, it's like
Yeah,
they've got some good young talent there.
and David Pierce looks good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's a safe bet, handling the ball.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean the O line is in need of a little tune up for sure in the offseason. Yeah, I am quite shocked that Houston certainly coming into the season. I think we all basically thought that
Sure.
they and Arizona were going to be the worst teams in the league.
Yep.
And it seemed pretty unquestionable that they were going to be the worst. And honestly, I wasn't sure that Houston had anything to play for in this year. So I wasn't sure. I mean, I figured, I liked Stroud. As you know, I went against the Ohio State thing. I liked Stroud. I thought he was a good pick.
He
He
looks great
seemed
so far.
ready,
Yeah.
but he has been far better than I ever would have thought. I thought it was going to be. My biggest concern with CJ Stroud this year was David Carr syndrome. I was worried that they're going to take a talented guy and he'll be running for his life all season,
Right.
and will eventually kind of lose all confidence because he's playing on his heels every game, every snap of every game. But that has obviously not been the case, and I'm glad. Yeah, D'Amico Ryans is a hell of a coach. He's certainly making a case for Coach of the Year. I mean, Mike McDaniel has also made that case, obviously, but D'Amico Ryans has certainly thrown his name in the hat. I mean, his hat in the ring. Yeah, I think I still think it's going to be Jacksonville because I think Jacksonville is still a lot more talented, and I think that the Texans are overperforming and the Jags are underperforming, and I think they will straighten out. I think they have a lot of talent, and last year they got some experience winning. You know what I mean? So I think Jacksonville has a team knows how to win when it really starts to matter as the season wears on, and Houston probably needs to learn that a bit. So we'll see
They still
when
haven't
game.
grown into their shoes yet, though. Like,
Well, right, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but like they haven't had to. They haven't had.
there's
Houston has yet to. Huh?
there's a key stat for me that is so telling because you have a rookie quarterback, and they went out this offseason and picked up Dalton Schultz because they knew they needed a safety net for this guy. And he's getting like 3 catches a week. Like, they're not using him. I'm sitting here going, this is a rookie who isn't using his safety net. Like,
Yeah.
that means they're going to incorporate Schultz into that passing game. And now they're equally as talented as Jacksonville in my mind. Like, he's not even being leveraged yet.
Maybe. I mean, we shall see. I mean, maybe. I definitely have turned around on Houston. I mean, I'm very impressed, and I'm especially impressed by Stroud. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think Houston hasn't had to play a single game. That's not true. They've only played one game against a team that felt like they had to win, and that was week 1, where the Ravens do feel like they have to win week 1. In that game against that team, the Ravens feel like they have to win week 1.
Yeah, but I mean, they
because of
beat
the expectations.
They beat Jacksonville already. So I mean, that's another thing. It's in Jacksonville, no less.
Yeah, no, hey, look, it was an impressive win, no question. No question. And like I said, I mean, I still think Jacksonville's underperforming. That is a better team than they look right now. I think.
For sure. I agree with that.
But yeah, that's who else out of the South? Obviously not Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's not,
No.
I can't.
Tennessee's got a good defense, looks like.
That might be the best division in the league, actually, when you think about it, because you got Jacksonville, you've got Houston, and the Colts, who are getting, their running back this week. So I mean, who knows? Like, they played us and beat us. Like, they clearly have a good defense, and they nearly won this past weekend.
Look at
the Colts. Yeah.
This is like so telling, though, when you look at the Houston Texans, their points scored and points scored against in that division. It's huge. The gap is massive compared to any of their other competition. They're winning 2 in a row. I think Houston might be the front horse in this one.
Yeah, maybe. It's a long season, so it's gonna be fun to watch.
I mean, I've been really I've been really impressed with Stroud, and with the Colts, I've been very impressed with Richardson, and honestly,
Luck's lost sometimes, but he never gives up, though. That's the thing I will give him.
But remember, Richardson was a guy who was drafted, and anyone who sort of claims to know anything or seems to know anything or whatever, assumed Richardson would almost certainly sit for a year,
Mhm.
and learn. Like he was always a bit of a raw project. I mean,
Sure.
I'm here in Florida. I watched Richardson. The talent was obvious. His
Mm.
size, his athleticism, all of that
Mhm.
is obvious. But
Sure.
he did not look ready for the NFL at all, not
Mhm.
in any way, shape, or form. He looked like, a guy that you're like, you look at all of his athleticism and you go, I can coach this guy. This is the guy you want to coach. Um, he doesn't always make great football decisions, whatever, but like he he looks like he can be coached into all that stuff. What's amazing is how quickly he's gotten there, where he's
Mhm.
able to,
Playing
again,
good.
I mean, he looked awful the whole first half,
Mhm.
and then second half was like, I mean, just, and that's a testament to both him and to coaching. I mean, that's a halftime message that resonates, that's getting through, that I don't know, that you're right. The AFC South, I'm not sure it's the best division this year. I'm not sure I like any of those guys to go deep into the playoffs. But
I don't mean that. I just mean most competitive division.
yeah, sure. But I do think moving on, they're going to be,
This,
moving on. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think any of those teams advance to the Super Bowl this year.
I think one of these will be like the upset, go deep in the playoffs type that'll knock someone out. You
Sure.
know,
I could see that,
um,
depending on who it is.
yeah, they'll go on the road and upset somebody in the second round or whatever it is, not the wild card game, or maybe the wild card game where they go up against
yeah,
like the worst division winner or something like that.
sure.
But this will
Yeah,
maybe someone 5 and or whatever what is the 8 and 9, I guess is the
Mhm.
worst. I guess that could be the winning record.
yeah. I don't see where that's coming from in the AFC though. The 8 and 9 team, if it's not coming out of the South, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? I don't. I don't see. I don't see who that 8 and 9 team is. That's that's making the playoff, because 8 and 9 you're making because you won your division.
Well,
So
Yeah,
unless it's the South,
you
I
do
don't know
have to
where that
remember.
is.
yeah,
You
that's
also
what I'm
have to
saying. It's going
remember.
to come from this division.
Well, don't
Yeah,
forget there's 7 teams now also in the playoffs, so it is going to become more likely that an 8 and 9 team may squeak in.
yeah, but again, not as a wild card. More likely. I mean, again, you only do that as a division winner, because the odds that there are 3 teams that don't win their division, and that the third of those teams, the third best record
It
outside of
happened in
division
the
winners,
NFC.
is 8 and 9. Is pretty slim.
It happened
That's
in the NFC a few years ago, where the winner ended up just barely making them being 500. It almost didn't happen.
Yeah,
I
but
think
that was a division winner.
No, it
Well,
wasn't. It was for
or
the
that was
wild.
that the AFC? Oh, it
No,
doesn't
it was in
matter.
the NFC.
I was to say that's NFC. That's classic NFC stuff.
Well,
Mhm.
it's
But
all
the
cyclical.
NFC, huh?
It's all cyclical. Right now, the AFC is stronger, but in
Yeah,
a decade from now, it will be the NFC that's stronger.
yeah. But
Oh, the
yeah, I mean, I
NFC
think,
is now with the Niners. Let's be honest.
I
God,
They're
think
good
the
more
crap.
stronger.
NFC. I think the NFC looks stronger. I mean, look down here at the wild card right here, the Vikings. These guys are going to rattle off probably 14 in a row. This division, the North, the NFC North is going to come down to the wire because you're going to have the Lions, the
No,
Packers,
it's not.
and the Vikings all fighting it out at the end.
That's
So,
not going to come down to the wire. The
but no,
Lions
I
are going
think
to pull away in that
the
division.
the other AFC wild card I like the Chargers. I like the Chargers a lot.
Yeah, I
Their
like the
defense,
Chargers too.
Mhm.
their
I
offense
mean,
is really good, man.
Now that they've stopped losing and they've woken up,
yeah.
They
Well,
never
yeah,
they always seem to get off to a slow start, I feel like. They always get off to a really slow start, and then they rattle off a ton of wins at the end, competing with the Chiefs, usually fall a game short. I think you're gonna see that again this year too. Or they might win that division, because I don't think the Chiefs are gonna be as dominant the rest of the year as they have been before.
well, for a guy who's putting a lot of stock in the point differential, I'm looking at the Chiefs' point differential there, and I'm thinking, I don't know, man.
41.
They look
That's a
pretty
good
good in
one.
that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers are a wild card team for sure. Um, you know, they've been a bit of an anomaly because again, they bring in this defensive coach in Brandon Staley, and their defense has been an absolute sieve. They finally tightened things up a little bit this week, so maybe they're figuring it out. And I mean, again, nobody expected them to be a stellar defense. That is not where they spend money. They have a good pass rush because they have Bosa, but I mean, this week Bosa was out, wasn't he?
Thought he was, but I can't remember.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Bosa was out this week. And they still managed to put together a pretty good defensive effort there. And they get Eckler back at some point here. Although Kelly's done a fair job filling in. He's not Eckler. Yeah, I think that the Chargers are going to be a force to be reckoned with, just because they're one of those few teams in the NFL that can put up 40 points and a half if they have to. I mean, Herbert is I think Herbert's an incredible quarterback, and
I think he's awesome. I think Herbert's
yeah,
great.
I really like, he's
He's
a bit of a throwback.
Yep.
But they're also. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say Herbert could easily play in the 80s
Oh God, don't start this again.
or the 30s, and he would dominate. He would crush. He would break every record.
You could say that about Trey Lance, to be quite honest.
I agree with you. Hey, look at this. Will you look at the Dallas Cowboys? How good they're looking right now.
Well, when you win 40-0, but you throw out that Giants game because they won 40-0. You know what I mean? Like that differential is going to be.
It goes towards their numbers.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that total is going to be.
I get it. No, I totally get it.
But they've had two games where the opponent scored 3 points, and they scored what, almost 80. So you take out those two, and again, I know this is silly, but it's like you take away those two games, those two blowouts, and what's the point differential then? You've got what, 44 to 38. It's all of a sudden it's a whole lot closer. I mean, they have been blown out or blown out. Their opponents. Yeah, Cowboys are good. They are limited by their coach, and I think that's going to bite them when they start facing stiffer competition.
Yeah. I'm going to the Commanders game again tomorrow night. And, I'm not sold on these guys. I'm not sold on Howell yet.
He's young, but I mean, they're playing Chicago though.
Oh, Howell is a heck of a lot better than I thought he was.
Me too. Although I'm very worried at the fact that line moved 2 points. Like, that's significant.
It is. But I haven't seen any injury updates or any news come out of Washington. Like, as a matter of fact, they're actually getting people back.
Yeah, but the line doesn't. I mean, the line also moves because what was the line, Mike?
8.
It was 8, and it's down to 6, which means a lot of people are betting on Chicago to cover. And
yeah, that's all that means. Is that people are looking at that game and going, look, the Bears are going to be desperate for a win. And
sure,
and they're looking
4. They haven't won yet. Yeah, they're going to be desperate. All right. Unfortunately,
I want to talk about that game for a minute.
Chicago and Commanders. That's going to be painful to be at.
No. Chicago, the Bears Broncos game.
The one that happened. Yeah,
that was probably Justin Fields, if not the best, certainly one of Justin Fields' best game. I think it was his best game.
Yeah, now, thank God I have him with my team
in the first half. Yeah.
Well, okay, but in the second half, that was what happened in the second half. That's what I want to talk about. I don't think Justin Fields played poorly in the second half per se. They came out at halftime and they played like a team that thought they had the game in the bag. They got conservative. They started locking everything down. They stopped doing the things that got them there. Classic John Harbaugh stuff. It's like, okay, we've got a 3-score lead with 30 minutes to go. Let's just let's take away all the creativity and we'll just play defense. We'll be fine. and we don't want to show our hand too much, or we're up 3 scores with 28 minutes to go. It's 4th down and we're on our own 35. Let's go for it, because I've got this 4th down play I want to try. I want to see how it looks. And hey, we got this thing. You know what I mean? Like, again, classic John Harbaugh overthinking. It was this. That's except that Eberflus is no John Harbaugh.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Or Jim.
The Bears did not lose that game. Eberflus lost that game. That was the worst coaching I have ever seen in my life. When they have the ball at the 30, they're in field goal range. It was inside the 30, field goal range. It's a tie game. You've let the Broncos come all the way back and tie this thing. And your defense has been playing pretty well. The Broncos have they've been a little bit hot, but the defense has played relatively well. You just had a nice drive. 3 points, go up 3, tell your defense to get the stop. You try to pull Aaron Rodgers, draw him off sides. Doesn't work. You call the timeout. Okay. All of that's fine. Everything up to that moment is fine. Then you decide to send the offense back on the field, which is okay. Makes no sense. You got a good kicker. This is a makeable kick. It's a pretty easily makeable kick, or relatively easily makeable kick. Makes no sense. Well, you've called the timeout. You send the offense back on the field. So I'm like, okay, fine. They've decided to roll the dice on this. I think it's the wrong decision, but okay. You did have timeout. You're going to come out there with a real moneymaker, to get your yard. And they came out with the most obvious, boring, run it, give it from the shotgun, give it to your running back up the middle. So you give your running back the ball 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then say, go get a yard. And of course it gets blown up because everybody in the world expects this play. But what's mind-blowing to me is everyone in the Chicago Bears organization, everyone watching that football game around the NFL, every coach from Sean Payton, on the other sideline, to every coach in the NFL looks at the Bears and says, the best athlete on that team is the guy playing quarterback. He's the best overall athlete on that team, right? He's your guy. You're at the very least, you're looking to see if he is your long-term solution this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you need a yard, and you don't let him go get it. And you don't even need the yard. I mean, again, I think you kick the field goal. I was watching that game in Atlanta, and I'm like, I turned to my wife and I said, Chicago is the worst team in football, and they deserve to lose this game, because that was the stupidest, worst play. That was the worst series of events that I've seen. It was worse than the Ravens against the Colts, where just everything they did there in the last 2 minutes, 30 seconds was just like everyone forgot how to coach for 30 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Or, because that's all they had the ball was 30 seconds. So they all forgot for half a minute. I found it absolutely confounding that, like, again, you've got a dynamic, talented guy. Hey, Mike, why don't we instead of going through your email here, can you maybe just put
you're still sharing?
There we go. Yeah, I mean, I just for the life of me cannot understand that series of decisions. Like, you took the timeout, and you came out from the timeout with, give it to the running back 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and say, go get 6 yards. And it wasn't even one, it was a long one. So it was like, go get 7 yards from where you get the ball. I still can't get over that decision. It was the sort of decision a team makes if they want to lose. You know what I mean?
I don't think they are.
Well, that's what I mean. It was like, oh, okay, are you tanking on purpose? Is that?
I think they know. I think they know that Fields isn't the guy. And
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
but you know what? But Eberflus has to know he's not the guy either. Because if Fields is gone, they're going to get rid of him too. And
get there this year.
Say again?
Didn't he just get there this year?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they'll put him unless he's in on it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think he came in this year. I don't know. I think that I think no, I think his decision making shows him to not be the answer either. And I'm like, at the very least, you're auditioning for another team, and he did a bad job of that. Anyway, I just found it baffling. So yeah, I don't know what to make of the Bears. I think that Fields has something good to build on, something positive to build on, and they may cover that. They may cover 6 points in Washington. I wouldn't have thought that possible 2 weeks ago, but he played really well, and he actually seemed to spot open receivers, which is something he struggled with.
Well, we are talking about the poorest Denver defense that just allowed 70-something points too. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
there's
for
a get
sure.
well game for you on your offense, it should be against that team, it seems.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, they seem to have very little outside of Sertan.
Mhm.
But yeah, anyway, I found that absolutely confounding. Washington, by contrast, I think is moving in the right direction. They're a better team than I thought they were. I thought they were going to be a good defense, but I had no real confidence in Howell this year. Um,
Mhm.
He's
and
looked better though. He's looked decent.
he's looked decent, and I have to say too. Sorry, I have to say also, Brian Robinson got better than I thought. He looked good last year, but I kind of thought he looked good last year because there was nothing else.
Mhm.
I mean, it was him and McLaurin, and I thought Brian Robinson kind of was the beneficiary of getting some chunk runs in games where they were already down. Didn't seem like much of a threat, and so you had defenses playing a bit soft up front. Um, but I think Washington is they're not going anywhere, but I definitely think they're a better team. They are a team that can win games.
Mhm.
They can win games.
Yep.
And
So,
I mean, they're young. They're young, right? So they're building right now.
yeah. I mean, although there are some big questions because I think next year Montez Sweat and Chase Young both I think are in the last year of their deals. I think they can both be extended after this year. I think. Well, when that can't be right, they didn't come out. Whatever. But I mean, one or both of those guys become. You know, you can't franchise them both. One of those guys has to be either re-signed or let go, and we'll have to see. I'm not sure they're going to be able to keep them both.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, anyway, what are we doing, Mike?
I'm not doing anything.
Oh, you're just preparing a whiteboard?
No, I don't know why, but I got an invite from you saying that you started a whiteboard
What?
From me?
from
Oh,
you, Brian. Yeah.
maybe my hand bumped it when I was.
That's why I was
Yeah,
like,
I
are we
see
doing
it.
something that I don't know about?
I
No.
see it
Mike,
here too.
when Mike was sharing his screen, I might have bumped it because I couldn't see anything.
Yep, it's from
Uh,
Carla Redenhoff. Yep.
all right.
You want
So
to draw?
okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see. So okay. I wanted to talk. Unless anybody wants to add anything to the Bears, I just found that I was so stunned by that game. The way
Who's the
they just
worst team though? Who's the worst team right now though? Is it Chicago or
Giants.
that
No,
Giants team? Awful on Monday night. They looked. Granted, they're going to get Saquon back, which will help, but
yeah,
that offensive line is so horrible
yeah,
that Daniel Jones is literally running for his life, and I'm sure it's all injuries, of course, but it's just
sure,
like he has no time at all.
Yep.
yeah.
Talent
No,
for that
they look very bad. But yeah, I do think Saquon helps that team a lot. I mean, especially, because I do feel a little bad for Jones. I feel like Jones is not a terrible quarterback.
It's not on him. Yeah, this is not on him.
Yeah, I mean, they just,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I mean, when they got Waller, I was like, oh man, Waller for Jones is going to be a great outlet. He has no time to get the ball to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't know. The I guess it's hard to say, but I guess the Giants are the worst team because the Bears at least should have won that game this week, or at the very least should have put up 31, and see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
And if this was a legitimate step forward for Fields, if he did in fact make a stride,
Mhm.
because I mean Fields is an elite athlete.
Mhm.
He has he has um,
Sure.
well above above average mobility. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it elite, but he's certainly
And,
excellent running.
and Kyle Buller could throw a ball 60 yards on his knees.
Sure.
Facts.
Sure. No, absolutely. But like I said, Fields made good reads this week. And that's the thing he's never done is make good reads. So, we'll
Yeah.
see. Maybe he took a step forward. We'll see. So I have to
Yeah.
go with the Giants as the worst.
Yeah. I'm in
Um,
agreement right now based on what I've seen. The only X factor for Barkley, like
yeah.
how much of a difference does it actually help? They look bad.
Yeah. I mean, can Barkley take some pressure off that O line? And I think, maybe he can. We'll see.
Yeah. That's
Um,
we'll find out.
so let's talk about the other really, really interesting game this week. What's going on with the Bengals?
They blow.
I don't have any idea what's going on there, but that team looks flat.
I
Like
mean,
no energy at
Mark
all.
Chase
Like,
hasn't scored yet, has he?
they've really only had one game where he had a good game. He might have scored last week. I don't really remember. He was
no,
targeted.
I think he did
I
score
mean,
last
2
week.
weeks ago. Sorry,
Yeah,
against
yeah,
the
yeah,
Rams.
yeah. Week 3.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
now
I mean
Higgins is hurt. How bad is he hurt? Like that
yeah.
definitely affects that offense.
I mean, Burrow's hurt. He looks okay, but it's still bothering him.
Mhm.
And you know,
Everybody in the league knows he can't move.
yep,
He's like a sitting duck every play. And it's
yeah,
like they are just teeing off on him every play, and it's going to get him hurt.
yeah. No, for sure. It makes no sense why they're not just sitting him and letting him rest. Um, and maybe at this point, maybe they will. I mean, maybe if they drop one more, they will, protect the future.
Man,
Um,
they're
I'll tell you
playing
one
at
thing.
Arizona this week. Like they lose to Arizona. Woo.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't.
mean,
I don't think.
Arizona's looked all
I
right.
don't think he's.
I know they're another team that we thought was going to be bad that's actually playing better, every week a little bit.
Well, go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say I don't think he's scored yet this year.
Really.
Yeah.
I
Chase.
couldn't remember that week against the Rams. I couldn't remember if he scored. I just know he got a lot of passes.
Yeah, that I think because that was the thing they were saying. He hadn't really touched the ball, and then all of a sudden he had a good week. I thought maybe he scored.
He
But
had 141 yards and 12 receptions, I believe.
Yeah,
that's okay.
that's a
But no
monster.
touch. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's bizarre. Now, I mean, I will say I have never liked Zach Taylor as a coach. I'm not a fan. I don't think he's a great coach. I think he has another one. He's Mike McCarthy. He has managed to look better than he is because of Burrow and Chase and Higgins and Boyd. I mean, that is just three great, receivers there. I don't know if I call Boyd great, but he's a very
Oh, he's
good
a
receiver.
very good number 3, but I also do think that's another team that has to learn to cut bait because I just don't think either he doesn't fit the system or he's not that great of a running back, and that's Joe Mixon. I think they put too much on him. Like he's a good number 2. I
Yeah,
don't think he's your number 1, and I think they were better. They were balanced better when they had Bernard.
yeah. Mixon's always weird to me because I look at his stats at the end of the season and I'm like, this guy is one of the 5, 6 best running backs in football. But watching him through the season, I'm like, he'll have 1 or 2 games where he's like just
Yeah.
lights out, but then
Mhm.
he looks pretty
He'll disappear in other games.
pretty
Exactly.
pedestrian. He looks pretty pedestrian most of the time.
Yeah.
And I just can't figure him out because it's like, I kind of feel like everyone has these ideas that he's a really, really, he's an exceptional running back because the numbers by the end of the season, but I never see it during the year. So
No,
yeah, I don't know what I mean.
he's like Corey Dillon.
Say again.
He's a lot like what Corey Dillon was. He'd have this massive game,
Yeah.
and then disappear in others, like completely out of the blue.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I
Yep.
think I think I think I might go with the Cardinals this week over the Bengals.
Oh yeah,
I think
I've already got a bet
yeah,
in on it because I
yeah, I
agree.
mean I think I'll tell you too, Dobbs, you know, Dobbs feels like he's been around a long time.
Hmm.
Uh because he was with the Browns for so long and it just seemed like but he's only what like 28, 29. Um he's not it's not
Yeah.
like yeah. And his he's not again, he's not a a guy that's going to run 100 yards on you or anything, but he's shifty enough and he's got good enough wheels that that mobility that he's able to bring to the pocket is really, I mean, it's really working for them.
Hmm. So I got a question for Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear your thoughts on this though. They get the win this week. They're 2-3, right? They're, with Dobbs, everything Brian just said about Dobbs, and Kyler Murray comes back. What do you do? Number one there, and part B to that question is, what happens when Murray comes back and they lose 2 or 3 games?
Hmm.
Do you go back to Dobbs?
So you said that they were when he comes back, they were what? What was their record? They're 1 and
We're going
3.
to assume let's assume he comes after this week because we don't know when
Okay.
he's going to come back for sure. But
Yeah.
let's assume he obviously he's not there this week. So assume they win this week because we're all in agreement. The Bengals are on. Who knows who they are? They could end
Yeah.
up winning because they could catch
Yep.
fire and surprise everyone. But right now they just don't look
Yeah.
good. But we'll give them the win. Do you start Kyler Murray right away? Number one, and number two, what happens when he loses 2 or 3 games? You know, do you consider going back to Dobbs?
Yeah, I would start him and I would stick with him
No
for the
matter what.
season. For the season, yep. What's Kyler Murray? Did he just sign that big huge deal?
I feel like did he or is he about to? I don't remember.
I
No,
thought
I
he
thought he did.
signed
I
something
thought he
like a
signed.
big, I thought he signed a big huge extension.
He
So
signed. He signed just
Yeah, you're
before
right.
Lamar.
Yep, you're
His
right.
was
I forgot about that. You're exactly right.
yeah.
so
His was the contract that kind of
and that's all
a lot of people
guaranteed too.
credited with Lamar signing. They're like, okay, once he
Yeah,
signed, then Lamar was like, okay, I can gauge my worth, my market value now.
that's right. I do remember that. You're right. I didn't remember who the quarterback was, but I remembered that happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So you have no choice but to start him.
yep.
Yeah, no. I just would
And
love to hear them say no. There's got to be a point. Like it depends on what your goal is for next season, right? Are you going to
sure,
try to lose keep your fan base encouraged? Because Josh Dobbs is Sam Howell, right? He's not sexy. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes by any means, but he doesn't
right.
need to be. He just needs to be consistent and not make mistakes.
Well, yeah. Um, yeah. But that's not going to work. You know what I mean? That's
No,
not going to
not
work
long term, but
not when
Murray.
you not when you just sign Murray for all this money. Um, you've got to roll with Murray to see what you've got. And the thing with Murray is, it's not like he hasn't won games. He's won some games. He can't stay healthy. Um,
Can't stay healthy, and they got nothing there anymore.
yeah. Well, the my biggest red flag for Kyler Murray was last year. I think it was last year when I remember they were talking during the game or before, pregame or whatever. They were saying, Kingsbury's been working with Murray, letting him, sort of draw up and call some of his own plays. And remember, he was hurt, and they were letting him call plays from the sideline, and he was actually calling the offense for a bit in the game,
Mhm.
and it was awful. It was absolutely terrible, and it was like, oh, you because they kept like highlighting, oh, this is one of Murray's, this is a Murray play, and they were awful. I'm like, man, I, I understand Kingsbury doing that, and that's one of those like that might be a good idea to integrate your quarterback into game planning to get him thinking a little bit differently. But it seemed to me like it could have actually had the exact opposite effect. Like it may have diminished his athletic ability because now he's trying to do a different thing instead of acting and reacting. He's trying to think
Maybe.
And strategize in a way that maybe he shouldn't be.
Maybe.
Anyway, so we'll
Who
see.
knows?
But I think, yeah, you go with, if Murray comes back, or when Murray comes back, you might sit him the first week to make sure he's 100%. You might even sit him twice if Dobbs wins him. You might keep him on the bench a game or two, all in the name of saying, well, we want to make sure he's 100%. And you're in the NFC West. If you're the Cardinals, do you think you have a shot at the playoffs? You certainly don't have a shot at the division.
No.
Do you have a shot at the playoffs with the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Niners? Probably not.
So after this week, they have a pretty interesting run too, because
Yeah.
they go to the Rams, to the Seahawks, they play us at home, and then they go to Cleveland. Those are 4 defenses that are going to be an interesting test for them, especially
Sure.
if Murray were to come back to test how healthy he is and how ready he is, because all these defenses are game ready now.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. But I think you almost have no choice but to go to Murray.
Sure. You're
given the
right.
contract.
I just wish they would make the decision because of the who's actually best for the team.
Yeah, but Dobbs has
Oh,
gotten
yeah.
himself a job next year.
Oh, that's for sure. That's
I
assuming
mean,
he wants it. He could just be a Mitch Trubisky kind of guy, where he knows where he's at his best, and probably being a starter isn't that, because he'll always be questioning his role. But as a backup, he'll be a forever backup on a team that never get rid of him.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he's good enough for that.
Yeah, maybe. All right, just I want to move on to this week, but just I want to talk about I think just 2 other teams, just so we haven't brought up at all. So Baker Mayfield, the Bucks.
He
To
looks
the king,
legit.
Baker.
I mean, I have I have to say, I have always from day one thought that drafting Mayfield was a mistake, number 1 overall, and I've never particularly liked him as quarterback. I thought he was a great college quarterback. I thought that the NFL did him a greater disservice as a player than just about anybody, because I've never seen anybody before he even took a snap had so many endorsement deals as
Sure.
Baker Mayfield. Now, a disservice as a player, sure, but it's also good work by his agent, because you never know.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they let him.
I don't begrudge him getting those jobs, but it just he just never looked impressive in Cleveland. And again, part of that's Cleveland, but I mean,
I don't
he had.
think.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't think Tampa Bay, for example, lets him live in their stadium like Cleveland did. I don't think that they.
Yeah.
I don't think they gave that to him in their contract.
Maybe that's why he's playing better. He's not responsible for cleaning that place.
I know.
Honestly, I think what the issue is, so if you watch him play much, he looks a lot like he did in college. Like, he looks like he's having fun again. And
Yeah.
wasn't Mike Evans with him?
I don't know.
Weren't
I'd
they
have to look that
together,
up.
or was that was Manziel that he was with? I don't think he was ever with Baker, but they're both OU guys, right? So, they probably have known each other for years. But he looks like he's having fun, and you're right about all the endorsements and all that stuff. And he carried the weight of being the number 1 pick and all those expectations that come with it. And then he got to disappear a little while with the Rams. Had a couple of bright moments where he came in and spelled Stafford, right? But now he's got a team with quite a lot of talent in the passing game. You know what I mean? And he's having fun. So he looks good. That team looks good. Their defense needs to be looked at more. Like, they were playing really well.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I didn't going into New Orleans and just rolling them was not. I didn't see that coming.
Right.
I honestly, when I looked at the Bucks to begin the season, regardless of Baker, and again, I had no faith in Baker. But I do know. I mean, I know he's got some talent. I mean, there's obviously, but
Mhm.
and while he and Bryce Young are about the same height and all that, he's got
Mhm.
some weight. But yeah, I thought, well, the Bucks have no running game, so that's a problem. And the defense is a question mark.
Yep.
But
Oh,
they
you
look
and I
pretty.
agreed. Mike had them at 8 and 9. You and I agreed they were going to be like a 5-12 team.
Yeah,
And I'm definitely wrong. They look like a good team. I mean, the only
yeah. I
loss
mean,
they have it was a close loss to Philly.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. No, they look solid, and a lot of that can be attributed to Baker, I think. So
sure.
because
Okay.
who's their head coach? Is it Bowles?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who I think is a terrible coach. Um,
Better
but it's
coordinator. Yeah.
yeah, but it's working, so it doesn't really much matter. All right, so I wanted to talk about that, and then on the flip side, uh, is Derek Carr just a terrible quarterback?
Yes, been
But
saying that
I do
forever.
I do think he was playing hurt last week too.
Yeah,
He's terrible.
yeah, that's possible. I mean, all those years with then Oakland, and I guess 1 year with Vegas, I I always thought Derek Carr looked like a good quarterback with no pieces.
Yep.
Just always a little light on talent. And yeah, I agree. He was playing hurt, but even without that, the first 3 weeks he does not look great.
Right.
And Michael Thomas looks to be in. I mean, yeah, obviously a couple years older, but pretty good. And Olave looks great. And they got Kamara back this week, but he's rusty. I get that, and you expect nothing from him in his first week back. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out whether Derek Carr is remotely a good quarterback here, because it is. He's kind of. I'm a little bit baffled by him at this point. I
I'll be
can't figure
interested.
out.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see this. I just pulled up his career stats just to see what they are, and like looking just like at QBR, right, on the stats. And in 2019 and 20, he eclipsed 100 on the QBR.
Yeah,
But every year since, he's started going down. He went to 94 to 86, and now he's at 80 right now. So he's headed in the wrong direction.
and
It
how old
seems.
is he? How old is Carr?
I don't even know.
28, maybe.
See if I can find his age. Why can't I see it? How about we'll just do this?
32.
There you go. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah,
I would never say he was a great quarterback, but he's serviceable, right? Like he's not the
yeah,
guy, that's gonna, win you championships. But if you put the right team around him, he would,
Mhm.
but he's not the guy that's gonna carry you there.
yeah. Good arm. He's got a little mobility. You know,
But he
um,
makes some dumb mistakes sometimes too.
dumb
So,
mistakes, but he's got dumb mistakes. But he's a gunslinger kind of guy.
sure.
You know, and those guys give you a chance to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't figure it out. It's pretty. He's one of those ones that's just really. I'm trying. We all, I think, or at least Gary, you and I had the Saints winning that division, and I'm just
Yep.
not so sure anymore, because I mean, I think the Bucks win that division
I think
now,
the
but
Bucks, if
like
they were to
I
lose,
can't, and I don't even know if the Saints are, I don't know if the Saints are a 500 team anymore. Like I'm just not sure if they're, or a
well,
better than 500 team, rather a
they
better
were
than
on the
500.
they were on the
Huh?
border. We had them like 9 and 8 or something like that.
Okay.
So they were right on the cusp anyway. So they're
Yeah,
playing to our standard. It's the Bucks that are surprising us.
sure.
Look
Okay,
at,
so then I
I
think,
mean,
yeah,
I'm just looking at some of these stats for quarterbacks while we're talking about some of these. Um,
Mhm.
Look at Kirky Cousins with 11 touchdowns. And then what I'm noticing, because I keep looking, someone said something to me the other day, and I was like, where's Lamar? What have you guys thought about Lamar? Have you watched him play this year?
yeah,
It's
he
a
looks,
different. He looks fine. I think it's a
yeah,
different style too. Like that, you can't measure him. Like one is playing from behind a lot, and so he has to throw the ball a lot more. Where we've been playing with a lead more, and he's number 2 in
No
accuracy.
question. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's a big tell for me is like he's not missing the way he did last year, and he's not throwing the
Yeah.
same stupid picks that he did a few times. And he's been a lot like outside of the fumbling, which is annoying, but you know,
And it's
we got
always going to be a little bit of a problem with Lamar.
right.
You know, I mean, that's
Exactly.
the way he runs, the way he carries the ball. That's always going to be a bit of a ball control or ball security is always going to be an issue.
His
And
completion percentage is way up there.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
doing really well. And the
yeah.
other thing, Mike, that you can't discount is like if you combine the rushing yards with the passing, that's where his numbers come more in line with the quarterbacks that are throwing for more yardage.
Yeah, and his rushing yards have been they have been some of it has just been Lamar razzle dazzle, to be sure, but they have been they have he's had a lot of really valuable yards, a lot of scramble for the first down kind of yards as opposed
Right.
to where like Roman would just have him run just because
So he's
you
got
know
4 touchdowns, 2 running. So that's 8. He's got 8 touchdowns. That's pretty good.
Dude,
yeah
it's
no
2 a
he's
week. I mean, it's fine.
yeah
And
no the Ravens
we're playing slow because we have the lead. So I mean, we're
yeah
not having to score more than that.
right. So and he's also kind of had some injuries in the wide receiver department
For sure.
to work around as well. So
Speaking
no,
of
Lamar.
OBJ practice today.
Yeah, I saw. What was the other? The only other. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything else I really do want to talk about. Rams. I think they're exactly. We don't see the Rams any different than we did a week ago. I don't think. Right.
There was
Yeah, I
nothing
guess.
else that really. None of the other. I mean, San Francisco. They are who we think they are. Like, we could talk about how good they are
Oh,
all day long, but that's. I mean, honestly, outside that, I just think Detroit is getting in line. We touched on it just over text, but they're figuring out who they are.
yeah. The one I forgot the other team I want to talk about briefly, and then let's talk about the picks this week is the Jets.
Jets.
So uh I thought now Mahomes didn't play well, but a lot of that is a function of the Jets D being really playing lights out. Um, you know, but I'll tell you, Zach Wilson, who I still have very little faith in, he played a pretty good game, and
He did.
they were one really bad call away from winning that game.
Yep.
And
Which
again,
happens every week for the Chiefs.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mahomes is the new Manning.
Mahomes.
The new Brady.
Brady and Manning used to get those calls all the time.
Yeah.
It is a
The
function
GOAT never
of
needed those calls.
say again.
The GOAT never needed those calls.
Yeah,
You know who the GOAT is. Don't make me say his name.
They didn't literally go in and clarify the tuck rule because of him, right? Yeah, no.
No, I'm not talking about him.
He's talking about Marino back
The
before
GOAT.
quarterbacks cry all the time.
Yeah, Marino. I'm sure Marino got plenty of calls.
I was paying attention last week, Mike, to our conversation.
It's the nature of the game. It's in basketball, watching Michael Jordan take 3.5 steps and not travel, but a rookie taking 3 and getting the whistle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the nature of the game.
They don't
used to make me so mad because Flacco took a lot of hard hits that Brady or Manning would have gotten a flag for, and Flacco didn't get the flag. But part of that is a function of who they were and their cachet. The other part of that is a function of asking for it.
Whining.
No question.
It's like that. It was like the Colts game when they didn't call the face mask against Zay Flowers, and you go, well, I watched Flowers. Flowers came out of that pile and made a little gesture and then went right back to went right back and lined up. a more seasoned veteran, maybe, OBJ gets up irate, grabbing his helmet and making a big deal, and maybe he gets the call.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that's going to come. But, um, when you're a rookie, or whatever, a lot of, that's just, some of these guys know how to work the refs better.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Yeah. So just the Jets. So does, obviously the Jets have to be encouraged by Wilson. That's, probably the best he's ever played. And, not once did I see him scramble backwards.
Well, this reminds me, G Money, to put your question back to you. What happens when Superman returns from his Achilles injury by the playoffs and they sneak in, they go on a run, get the wild card? What do you do? Do you play Rodgers or do you play the kid?
Number one, that's never going to happen. Not with Wilson at quarterback. However, if they did happen to get there, yes, you have to go with Rodgers. But I mean, man, you have to because you paid him.
Mhm.
But
I
if he
would
goes
too.
in and he just plays like crap,
Shits the bed all over.
that makes that decision. Like, do you pull him though? And I don't think you do, because I think you ride or die with that guy.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one.
I think it would depend on how they ended up getting into the playoffs.
So
I mean,
Wilson's on
if Wilson,
fire,
yeah, but I mean,
That's
if
true,
Wilson
too.
is, if Wilson is, QB4, QB5, and that's how you get there, then you probably stay with Wilson,
yeah.
because you're paying him too. You know what I mean? I mean, he's a first round draft pick. No, I know you're not paying him because he's a first round draft pick, but he is, he is your locked up guy,
Mhm.
and you probably roll with him. But, I was thinking about this Rodgers thing, saying he's going to be back. Do you guys remember? And then we'll move on to this week's games. But do you guys remember when T Sizzle tore his Achilles?
Yeah.
And that was week 1.
Mhm.
And he said, I'll be back before the end of the season.
Mhm.
And he was available for the playoffs.
Mhm.
You guys
Yeah.
remember that?
I do.
Oh yeah.
So now the difference was Sizzle was like 27 and
Mhm.
Rodgers is, 40, 39.
Mhm.
But I was trying, it seems on its face, it seems absurd, but I started thinking about it and I was like, no, there's precedent for this. I remember when Sizzle did it and everybody said, yeah, he'll never be ready. And he got back.
There is a difference with playing quarterback, though. So
Of course there is.
just
I
the
mean,
sharpness with the receivers, more specifically, like just the timing and everything.
I'm thinking in my mind, though, how Sizzle has to get down into that 3-point stance and he launches off of that one leg to try and get around the end. I mean, dude, that's a lot to put on your Achilles just to think about just getting in that position, and then the launch you have to do just to take off. Oh, I don't know.
Yep.
That had to be pretty impressive, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to bring up, I wanted to acknowledge, because I talked a lot of shit about Zach Wilson last week, and I want to at least acknowledge I still think I'm right about him, but maybe I am wrong about the coaching part, because what I said was, he's obviously got an elite arm, unquestionably, and he's got, he certainly has some intangibles, but his instincts to scramble backwards are just like, it's such a red flag to me.
They
But I
clearly
didn't see any of that, and I said I didn't think you could coach that out of a guy because that's instincts. But maybe I'm wrong.
I'm gonna laugh when he scrambles backwards and throws like a
50-yard
bomb right in your face.
But it's, what? It's like,
what though?
But you know what? Hold on. It's like when Deshaun Watson threw that backwards pass. It doesn't matter if that play works out and goes for 80 yards and a touchdown. It doesn't make it not a terrible football decision. You know what I mean? It doesn't make you think this guy's cooked, like he's cooked.
It's almost as bad as the Mac Jones sideways pass.
Yeah, Mac Jones
across the field.
Yeah. No, Mac Jones looked very, very bad. But if there is, I don't think there's a way to defend that performance. But
No.
but that whole team looked bad. Everything about that team looked bad.
Sure.
They looked unprepared for that game. Surprisingly for a Belichick team, they just looked completely out of sorts from beginning to end. So, all right, gentlemen, let's move on. Let's talk about the week as we're running, long. So, I don't have any odds in front of me, but I did make a little note of all the games. So,
We'll tell you if they are.
well, yeah, tell me the games.
Starting
'Cause I
with
have my
tomorrow night, if you want to go down, starting with tomorrow night's Washington,
Sure.
Chicago, and that's at 6 points right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the home team there.
Same.
Taking Washington.
Washington.
I'm gonna stick with Washington too, but I was gonna take Chicago if it was still at like 8. But I'll go Washington. The next one's Jacksonville at Buffalo. This is gonna be a good game. 4.5 points.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
that's
got 4. I got 5.5 on the Bills.
That's still
Ooh.
both of those are generous spreads for the Jags. The way they're playing right now. Because I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Buffalo at home.
Yeah, same.
Okay,
Buffalo
that way.
Buffalo at home by 2 scores.
I mean,
At
it's
first I
in
thought you
London,
said
to be
that way.
fair, right? Like it is.
Oh,
in
that's
London.
right. That's right. That's right. It's in London.
And Jacksonville didn't go home. They stayed there
Oh,
after
yeah.
last weekend.
Jacksonville plays there every. I don't know why they're calling this Buffalo's home game. Jacksonville plays there every year. They should call it.
They play their back-to-back twice now.
Yeah,
Because
but they have to.
I mean, it's brilliant. He's building a fan base over there.
Yeah,
no,
doubt.
they have to. It has to be somebody else's home game because you can't lose 2 home games.
Oh, that's
like that.
right. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you
taking-
could, but
I'm taking Jacksonville here.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about them staying there.
I still got Buffalo. They're a wagon right now. I just don't see Jacksonville being able to keep up or slow them down.
I'm hoping that they slow them down within 4.5 points.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to go with the jet lag free Jags. I'm going to take Jacksonville just because of the travel. Just because of the travel, I think that's a much more significant advantage than people realize.
Okay. How about
All right.
Houston at Atlanta?
Go ahead.
Falcons are favored by 2 or minus
Falcons
2.
by 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Houston. I'm
Same.
all over Houston. I'm
Yeah,
going
I'm going to take CJ Stroud.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm on the same bandwagon. I think
going to
Atlanta's
Houston.
defense is good, but I just don't think that offense will be able to, I just think that Houston's got enough to better in Stroud.
Yeah,
And
and I think
now-
it'll be a good test of Stroud to see where he really is.
For sure.
I think he's good.
No. Agreed. But I think he's going to face a pretty stout defense, and on the road. So let's see what that looks like.
And then what might be the worst team in the NFL, Carolina, goes to Detroit.
I
don't see.
I don't think Carolina
9.5. I'm sorry, 9.5. 9.5.
I don't think Carolina is the worst team in the NFL, because I think their defense is solid, but I do think they've got a massive problem on offense. So I'm going to take what's the spread?
9.5.
Yeah, it's a big line.
I might have to take Carolina with the 9.5.
Yeah,
I hate the spread. It's big because I think the Lions will win, but that's a lot to have to cover.
No, I'm going to take the Lions. I think Bryce Young sucks. So.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I will too, and that's because Hutchinson's going to wreck Bryce Young this week. Of course, then they might lose because Andy Dalton comes in and wins.
Yeah, well, honestly, that's the caveat. If I could bet that game, it would be like Lions by 10 plus, unless Dalton comes in, then I want the Panthers.
Yeah. If I were a betting man, I probably would bet like Mike, but I'm going to go with my gut and think the Lions run away with this.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Carolina in that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Carolina. The next one's Tennessee at Indy.
Yeah, and Tennessee's minus 1.5. Yeah.
Wait, Tennessee. Hold on. Tennessee at Indy, and Tennessee's favored?
Yes.
That's
No.
interesting.
I feel like that's recency bias. I think they're still giving credit to their defeat of the Bengals, which we don't think is that great of a team personally. Because for me, it's a Colts win all the way.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it says here that they're giving a point to Indy, right?
It's -1.5
Or they're getting a
for the
point.
Titans. So that they're the Indies on here. It's what's interesting is actually this is what this is. Yahoo's behind
Is that
because
one?
the line on DraftKings right now is the Titans are favored by 1.5. Where here I'm sorry, they're -1.5, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and here they're not the favorite. So Indy is getting a point, but I mean, it's a pick'em game anyway.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Indy with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go Indy as well. And they get Jonathan Taylor back this week.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, and I think he's supposed to be practicing at least.
I mean, he's going to be rusty, but
Yeah.
but it's still it's another weapon for Richardson. I like the Colts.
Yeah.
Your team, the Giants, the G-men, Brian, they go down to Miami this weekend. They're gonna get curb stomped.
The only way that the Giants have an opportunity is if while they're in Miami, they swing by the Home Depot and they find 5 guys that can block for Daniel Jones that are hanging out looking for day labor.
It is a 10.5 point line though. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still taking Miami.
I'll
Same.
still take Miami on that one.
Absolutely.
Wait, you're
Yeah.
taking Miami? You're not betting your down the middle?
Well, I'm still gonna bet my down the middle, but for this case, I'm gonna
Okay.
take Miami.
Okay.
How
So
about
you're even hedging between this and that. Okay.
No, this is strictly picking winners. This is just and I'm usually just to admit, one recorded line, I'm usually pretty freaking awful at picking winners. Last week was impressive for me.
Yeah.
How about-
I usually do okay picking winners. I'm not very good at picking spreads. So
money lines, I got you. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to do it that way, but this way is more challenging for
It's
sure.
definitely
it is.
Definitely more challenging. No question about that.
Yeah, that's I'm much prefer dealing with a money line than a spread.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's see. So we all have the Dolphins in that.
Yep. New Orleans at New England is the next one. And that is at 1.5 for me. New England is favored.
It's a point.
New England,
it's a point on DraftKings. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's a home field. It's a home field
Same
spread.
thing.
That's it.
Yeah, basically.
I'm
gonna go.
Well, I'll go first. I'm gonna take the Patriots. As bad as they look this week, I think Belichick gets them right, and while I think the Saints are better than they played as well, I think the Patriots need a win. I guess the Saints do too, but on the road, coming into Foxborough, I think Belichick has that team ready to play.
I like it. I'm the same. New England.
Yeah, I as much as I don't want to, I do think the home game is the advantage. And they've had some tough losses this year. Well, not tough because of spread, but more tough because they've gone up against some tough teams.
They've had a tough opening schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think you're right. It's a get right game for them where they're going to play probably even up a level.
Yeah, agreed.
I hate the next game. Game. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Easy. 3.5 points. That's the scary part right there because this is going to be a 1-pointer, I think. It's going to end up being a real close one.
Yeah, only because they always are. But not this year. I think
not this year. No.
I mean,
this year we're going to whack them.
There's too much. Like everything in Pittsburgh looks wrong. Najee Harris looks, again, pedestrian at best. I mean, he does not look good. That line can't open any holes for him.
Their defense disappears at times, and you have TJ just being a monster.
Yeah, I mean, I do think I think their defense will keep them in this game longer than they should be. But I still think we win by win by 6+. So
Mhm.
we'll see.
Agreed.
All right. One of only 4 road teams I'm taking this week.
Wow.
All right.
Well, you're gonna take one here, Philly at the Rams. I think, unless you go with Rams, it's a 4.5 point spread.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the Rams.
I like it.
Stop picking like me. Yeah, I'm doing the same. I
I
think
like
Philly's
it.
due for a loss the way they've been playing. Like they're due, and the Rams, they're a decent team. And I think I saw that Cooper Cup's practicing this week too.
You
So
know
they're
what?
getting him back soon too. I don't know if it's this week or not though.
Well, the other thing is Philly's winning, but they're winning everything real close.
Yeah. And it's ugly.
So
You're right.
four
Yeah.
and a half points
country.
on a cross country trip. I
Yeah.
like the Rams to cover at the very least.
I'm with you. I'm taking Rams on it. Right.
All
Well, the
right.
next one, you're definitely taking a road team, I think, here. Potentially. I don't know. This is one game you wouldn't even be able to pay me to watch. Cincinnati at Arizona. Ugh. Third Ferguson. Spread
What?
3 points. Arizona's the dog.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Cardinals over the Bungles.
Ooh.
I don't
like
want to, but I have to. Like, I want to believe that Cincinnati's got that talent, but there's something wrong. And I don't know what's wrong at that team right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Burrow can't move. He's just sitting back there. I just don't like what I see out of Cincinnati right now. They look, and look, this will be the week they get right and they win 45-3 or something. But they just, it's a cross country trip, and I mean it's not quite as cross country because they're in the Central, but
Yeah.
cross country trip, and they just don't look good. So until they look remotely like themselves, I just can't in good conscience pick the Bengals. I mean, I just can't. I can't see it. I can't see how they win.
Mhm.
I can't see a path. I don't see a path to victory for that team right now.
I am in good conscience taking the Bengals this week.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the way the
This is
Titans
the week
blew
that
them
somehow
out was just like, I don't know. I mean, that was just because the Titans are not that good a team, and they just rolled them in every conceivable way. I mean, they let Derrick Henry throw a touchdown on them. Excuse me.
Oh, Eric's known to throw a couple here and there.
Yeah, he gets one, but I mean, yeah. But
Who are you going with, G Money?
Oh, same. I'm going Arizona.
Oh, Arizona.
There's something wrong with them.
Yeah. Well, this next one I think is a trap for me. The Jets going to Denver. Everyone's going to be on the Jets bandwagon after last week, which means I always go opposite of the public. But
that's a strategy. I'm not sure it's a good one. It's a bold move, Cotton, but it's I mean, I just think the Jets defense is that good. And
what's the
it's
spread?
not the
it's 1.5.
Yeah, it's a pick 'em. I mean, and it's in Denver, so that's all it is, right? It's the home game advantage. But that defense is so good that the Denver offense is barely going to be able to move. And all Zach Wilson has to do is get in range for a couple of field goals, and he'll probably win that game like 9-3. Like it's not going to be a fun game.
Yep.
No, it's not going to be fun to watch.
I am taking the Jets.
Yeah,
I'm going to take the Broncos.
Taking the Bronx. I like that.
I still think Zach Wilson is terrible, and I wanted to talk about it because it's an interesting question whether that was a get right game for him or if it was a step forward or whatever. But
We'll see
I have
this
no
week,
faith.
I guess, right?
I just have no faith in him, so we'll see. I mean, I think
it was either. I'm not going to inflate it or deflate it. I just think I don't think KC's defense is that good. I think they're hyper aggressive. They get a lot of credit because they get a lot of sacks, and if you play, if you play to his strengths, which is a zone-based offense, right, then he just has to throw to a spot. So it's a little easier to play against them. And Denver's defense has been pretty porous so far this year.
No, for
So
sure. No, for sure. I think we will see. I think the Broncos too do not look like a good team, but I thought they showed that the way they showed a lot of fight against Chicago has kind of given me a little faith that
like against the team
they
we're
might be able to
debating if
build on
they're the
that.
worst in the league.
Well, I think that they can. I think that that's a game that Sean Payton can build off of, and they did a couple of things that they need to do that they haven't done for whatever reason. They got Cortland involved, and they really focused on Cortland, and I think the way that game played out made me think maybe they finally realized that Jerry Jeudy is not the guy. That he is a guy who has can be a contributor on that team, but he's not the guy that I think they thought he was going to be.
Mhm.
But Cortland Sutton is that guy. They just
Yeah, he's
for
Larry
whatever reason.
Fitzgerald. He's the Larry
So,
Fitzgerald to Anquan Bolton.
Mhm.
yeah,
Right? I mean,
yeah,
the guy
yeah,
who probably is better, but sitting
yep,
behind another very talented guy.
yeah, yeah. So I think I, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the way they got Sutton involved made me think that is that Sean Payton is smart enough to see that and keep him the focus instead of Judy. And I think that makes a big difference. I think, I think that gives the offense a leg up in the game. That's all. And then what's the other one? The rookie running back, uh
Javante Williams.
Javante Williams. He
Yeah.
looked good. He looked good.
Yeah. By the way,
Um
Cortland Sutton only had 3 receptions last week and a touchdown. He had done better every week prior.
No, well, whatever. I think it was just well, no, they've gotten him involved, but Judy wasn't there. So
I
then
know.
when Judy
That's my,
came back,
my
then they
yeah, for sure.
but yeah, I understand that. But I mean, they seem to be like trying to force it over to Judy and it's not working. And I think my point was, yeah, he only had, I guess I thought he had more, but it was still like yeah, because he had like no catches at halftime.
Well, the week
Um
before, they definitely utilized him a lot in week 3. He caught like
yeah,
11 passes, but they were playing catch up the whole week. So,
sure. Sure. No, but in the first half of the Broncos game of the Bears game, they kept trying to force it to Judy. And then in the second half they went back to Sutton. And if my from what I was watching the Ravens game and the Broncos game was next to it, like on the TV next to it.
right.
So I kind of was catching it in glimpses. But it just seemed like all of a sudden Sutton got involved in the second half. That was really all I meant. And I think that Peyton is smart enough to figure out that that's where his bread is buttered. So yeah, so I'm going to go with the Broncos. We'll see. All right, what's this is the next one is
Game of
one
the
of my
week.
road.
My personal pick of the week is next.
Okay.
Kansas City at Minnesota.
All right.
I'm
He's
going
favored
with
by 5.5.
with 4.5 points, I believe. 5.5.
5.5. Yeah.
5.5 points. I'm taking the Vikings. Woo. And if this happens, baby, the Greek corner next week is going to be lit up.
Dear God.
That segment is going to be another just
You
gloat fest.
Just on that premise, I almost want to pick against you. I was actually really considering picking the Vikings.
Oh, you're a smart man. Should be.
But I don't know if I can. I'm just waiting for them to fall down by 28 and then climb back in and lose 28-27 or something like
Okay.
that. Like they'll
fine.
miss it just barely.
That's
I'm gonna have
fine.
to go with Casey. I'm gonna go with covering.
You think they'll
I'm
I'm
gonna take-
actually gonna have them covering too. So
I like
I think
the
Minnesota wins outright, but we'll go.
I like the Chiefs on turf.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Chiefs on turf.
Okay. Okay. So 1 Minnesota 20 and 2 Chiefs. We'll see.
you
Okay.
have to pick Minnesota.
My
You don't even
personal
get a
lock.
choice.
My personal lock of the week, and you guys are going to go against it.
Hey, in 3 weeks, we're going to have this conversation again. I
Okay.
want you to have to pick Minnesota because remember they can't lose another game
Oh,
when they
okay.
have to play San Francisco. I can't wait for this one.
Okay. Speaking of San Francisco, that's the game of the week. Dallas at San Francisco.
Yeah,
Ooh, it's a 3.5 point spread.
for me, I am all in on these Niners. Those
I
guys,
am too.
they're playing
Yeah.
such a level right now.
I'm
It's
with
just,
you.
yeah,
Question
Me
is,
too.
do they win by more than a field goal though?
yes.
You
I
think
think
so?
they win. I think they win on the cusp of double digits.
Ooh.
I'm going 9 to 10 is what I mean by that. Like I could see it kind of falling right on that level.
Sure.
Two
Yeah.
two Niners, two 49ers, and then what do you got there?
Oh yeah, the Niners. I think the
Three
Niners.
Niners.
Like,
And
fuck.
I agree. I don't think it's particularly close.
No Cowboys. Okay.
I think maybe the score ends up close because the Cowboys play from behind to get some garbage, but I don't think it's especially close.
Yeah.
Okay, then it goes into the Monday night game. Green Bay at Vegas. I'm pretty high on Green Bay this year. I like them a lot. I'm
What's the spread?
2.5. I think that's low. I take Green Bay all night.
2.5. The Packers are given 2.5.
Yep.
They're the favorite. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I like Green Bay. Is yeah,
Of course
Jimmy
you
G
guys
will
do.
probably Garoppolo.
Yeah, he's probably going to play. I'm going Raiders.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
You're going Raiders?
I'm going Raiders. Yes.
Okay.
I
Raiders
just think
at the back.
Devontae Adams is coming out for a revenge game, and they are going to feed that man all night long.
You are probably correct. Devontae Adams probably gets 176 yards receiving in a loss.
Nope.
In a loss. Yeah.
21-17 Raiders. There you go.
Okay. All right.
I
right.
am not sold on the Packers at all. Aaron Jones coming back, we thought that was going to make a difference. It did not. Jordan Love's accuracy is not good, and that defense, while it is good, has taken a step back from last year.
They struggled this week.
That's an
But-
understatement.
Yeah, they struggled this week. But they no, they did. They look bad. They look bad. But they look bad in a lot of ways and had a few balls bounced the wrong way. And I think they bounce back this week. So we'll see. But I think they bounce back.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see. We'll
Boys.
we'll be, same thing next week, meeting a day later than usual. So I want to see if I can get this thing thoroughly unedited and just upload it straight away to get it up on the channel. So if you like this in any way, shape, or form, please hit the bell, subscribe, and yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
We'll review
Jeff?
the winning picks next week.
We will review Mike's Gamblers Anonymous systems.
You can see me.
All right.
I'll take a video of me doing my talk track up front in the front of the room. Hey
Yeah,
guys, I'm here.
they're gonna love it. They're gonna love it. All right. Well, next week, gentlemen, with better lighting.
No, this worked out just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.